It's Friday. I'm excited. A nice slate of games that are going on. I'm pretty jacked up. A real nice slate of Thursday night games. CD Lamb had a good game. Malik Neighbors had a good game. He did at the end of the game have a concussion. I'm going to keep an eye out on it. Some of you were asking about a Malik Neighbors trade. I told some people, hey, look, make sure you trade for him. I know he had a concussion. I think he'll be fine, but something I'm going to miss or something I'm going to keep tabs of in case he misses multiple games. In case you missed it, Devontae Adams. It's actually Devontae Adams, Max Crosby, Divine Diablo, Thayer Munford, and Michael Mayer are out for the Raiders. It's kind of a kind of a big deal here for the Raiders. They're missing a lot of guys, and I as of right now, it has not affected the line on the game really. I did put some action on the game that I recommended. If you watch my picks video, there was one game I recommended. I did put action on that. I'm going to go over all the games. However, just because I'm not calling it a fantasy football Friday, I'm always here to talk fantasy football. One of the things about the show is that I could talk 32 football teams, and I could talk whether it's sports betting, history, just want to talk about your favorite team. And I also got fantasy advice available. So just because I'm not calling this Fantasy Football Friday does not mean I won't talk fantasy football. Big Mellow 444. What's up, brother? Would you start Kincaid and Goddard at the flex or put Darnell Mooney at the flex? Oh, that's a good one because Goddard had such a massive day. All right. Goddard just blew up. All right. I do think I apologize here. My computer's done something a little strange here. Bear with me just 1 second. All right. The way I have this set up, so we'll probably need another monitor. Okay. They just ruled out. Yeah, they just ruled out Smith too. Because here's what I saw, and I'm using ESPN, which I'm not a huge fan of. But here, let me do this here. Are you talking about for the Raiders? All right, let me do one question at a time. I'm sorry, I just had an energy drink. I have another one right here. I don't know why I don't need it. Let's start with this. Okay, Goddard 170 last week. All right. I mean, you really, as far as tight ends go, you can't really do any better than that. Tampa Bay has a tough defense, but the way their defense is usually set up is that I do think Goddard could put up some numbers. I also think Kincaid could put up some numbers against Baltimore, traditionally a great defense, losing a bunch of defensive coaches plus personnel. I could see him struggling. I don't think you're wrong going with Kincaid or Goddard. I would normally 9 out of 10 times tell you that you got a guy like Mooney who can put up some numbers. Mooney, I just absolutely love Mooney. Okay, I'm a huge Mooney fan. Speed, talent, really being underutilized in Atlanta. However, I would go with either Kincaid or Goddard this week. The Saints have a really good defense. I watched the Falcons against my Chiefs really struggle, and I'll be honest with you. I could see a situation where Mooney gets in the end zone. I could, but I would really strongly suggest either Kincaid or Goddard. I'm assuming I'm assuming you're asking one of three, but when you say Kincaid and Goddard, are you talking one tight end and then one flex? And then or you have Mooney on the bench? I'm assuming you're talking one of three. I will say this. I think you could go with either Kincaid or Goddard in that situation out of those three. I think you go either or. I'm slightly leaning towards Kincaid. And the reason why I say this is that Baltimore's defense isn't really the same. It's really not. And I do think Josh Allen will have some success throwing the ball. I really do. But I don't really think you can go wrong either way. I'm leaning towards Kincaid in this situation. I think person more likely to put up a touchdown would be Kincaid. You have more upside with Mooney because if Atlanta ever figures out how to use that offense correctly, Mooney should have 100 yards. Tough matchup against the Saints. No confidence. They know what they're doing. The way that Tampa plays their defense, it does work out good for tight ends. That's why I could also go Goddard. That said, I after you put up 170, I could see Tampa going, you know what? Let's keep an eye out on Goddard and let's let other people beat us. But because you got so many weapons in Philly, I could see Tampa saying, you know what, we'll play our Tampa 2 scheme, and then inside the red zone, pay a little more attention to Goddard. So I got a feeling out of the three, Kincaid's most likely to put up a touchdown. That's another thing you have to think about. Because out of these three, I really don't think you're going to get Kincaid 30 and a touchdown versus Goddard 150. I know Goddard had 170 last week. I don't think it's going to be a weekly thing where he's putting up 170. I think that when you're looking at these three, which one's more likely to put up a touchdown, I'm leaning towards Kincaid scoring in this game. That's why I would lean towards Kincaid. That was a good move picking up Jakobi Meyers. I'll be honest, I don't like anybody on the Raiders this week. Originally, I was like, ooh, Michael Myers going to have a good game, because I remember when they drafted him, I thought the way that they were going to use Brock Bowers is going to be the same way that they would use Michael Mayer. I say Meyer. It's really Mayer. I love this dude out of Notre Dame. Remember, he had the nickname. Maybe you don't. I don't know. But he had the nickname of Baby Gronk. He was playing as a true freshman. He was 87. He looked enormous. I was like, this guy looks like he could be a special tight end in the NFL. Then he goes to the Raiders. They don't use him. I couldn't figure it out. This is a dude who's massive with receiving ability, and for whatever reason, they're not using him right. Anyway, he's not even going to play. So Jakobi Meyers is solid. He's really the only option that they have. So I'm not a huge fan. Let me rephrase that. I'm not a huge fan of Myers in fantasy football this week. It's a very solid pickup. If you got Devontae Adams, pick up Myers. You're not going to get that huge production, but you never know. I mean, they may say, hey, listen, we got to throw the ball to somebody. Myers is the only one. Maybe he gets 15 targets, ends up with 9 for 100 and a touchdown. So probably the best pickup you can get. I actually was expecting him to play. A little surprised, but Funk, what's up, brother, man? What is up, brother? If the Raiders find a way to win this week, it'll be short of a miracle. It's funny, both tackles are out for the Browns. So is their starting guard who's on, I think, missing a couple weeks. Njoku's still out. Nick Chubb's out. I was going over unders right before I started. On this particular game, nothing's really changed. The over-under is still 38, extremely low numbered. Raiders, believe it or not, are a 1-point favorite at home. I put action on one game. I was going to go in order, but I'll tell you now. I said it in my picks video. I'm pretty sure you watched it, but if you haven't, check it out. But I said the same thing in the picks video. I like Pittsburgh. I didn't get a great number. I got Pittsburgh -1 at 125. My $25 wager, and that's all I'm betting this year's $25 wagers. But 25 to win 20. But I like Pittsburgh. I might, if I collect on that game, I might take Cleveland. Just, there's no reason to take Cleveland in a point. I might just take Cleveland, pick them. I might have a little fun doing some in-game betting. More than likely, I won't do any in-game betting because I'll be doing play-by-play for the Chiefs. So the afternoon games, I probably won't be doing or in-game betting. I might do some in-game betting for Baltimore and Buffalo. We'll have to see. But I'm not as I don't know if I would call it a miracle, but I mean, in my picks video, I picked Cleveland, and I feel pretty good about them winning. Perry! Man, I'm glad to see you, Perry. It's always good to see you in the chat. Hopefully you are doing good. Hopefully you are in line for a wonderful, wonderful weekend. So, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful weekend. So, I'm trying to figure out, you said Smith, so I thought you were talking about the Raiders. But I'm going through the Raiders injury report. I'm not really sure who you're referring to. So I thought you were talking about the Raiders here, Big Mellow. I want to make sure. I want to make sure I'm getting everything right here today. I'm pretty excited. It's going to be a great weekend, a great slate of games. I hope that you join me. Chiefs Chargers, I'll be doing live play-by-play and reaction. It's depending on what part of the country you're in. It's an early afternoon game for me in the West Coast. I just moved out here to Vegas from Kansas City, and it's a little weird getting adjusted to the 10 a.m. starts versus noon. So. And then the Chiefs game, which is a late game, normally would be 3:30. It's 1:25. So I also have to buy the NFL Sunday ticket for the first time this year. I have to finally break down. But anyway, when you say Smith, who can you let me know who you're referring to? I'm drawing a blank because we were talking about the Raiders players. I put Devontae Adams. So I'm not sure who you're referring to. A little love here. Jonathan Santiago, another great question. Ayakor, Roma Duze, full PPR. So Keenan Allen, I don't believe is going to play. I know he's banged up. Now, okay, correction. By the way, ESPN's not the best source, but ESPN released an article 15 minutes ago saying the Bears anticipate Keenan Allen returning. I'm going to level with you, even though I'm really, really high on the New England Patriots and their defense. And it looks like Deebo Samuel's not going to play. Again, ESPN's not the best source when it comes to the injuries, but Deebo Samuel has a chance to play Sunday per ESPN. I don't think he's going to play. George Kittle practiced on a limited basis. I think he could play potentially. I bring this up because I really think that this is a situation where we want to play Brandon Nate. I think this week, now keep in mind, I'm very, very high on the New England defense. I think New England has a really, really, really good defense. Okay, just full disclosure, this is a very, very good defense. I could see a situation. They got a guy, Christian Gonzalez, who is, in my opinion, all-world corner. I could see a situation where they put Gonzalez on the whole game and say, okay, hey, listen, Jawan Jennings put up 190 and 3 touchdowns or whatever it was. I could see a situation where they could do that. But more than likely, I think you'll see Gonzalez on Ayuk and Jennings, just because Jennings had that big game. If Kittle plays, Gonzalez may cover Kittle a little bit. I really like Ayuk in this game. Today, right now, New England is a much better defense than the Rams. Full disclosure, I have the Rams winning in Chicago. I think that it's going to be an upset. And I also don't have faith in Caleb Williams. Now, Rome Odunze had over 100 and a touchdown last week, so that's why you're probably going, well, I'm leaning. I'm guessing you would lean that, hey, I'm going to go Odunze over Ayuk because, I got 100 out of Odunze. Ayuk got you almost nothing. I think this would be the week that might be reversed, where Ayuk has a big look. They just gave Ayuk $120 million. I mean, I can almost see a situation where they're like, hey, look, it's New England. It's not that good of a team. Let's make sure Ayuk gets his touches. Let's kind of justify that contract. I know that it shouldn't be like that, logically speaking, but hey, I mean, the NFL is a business. Let's be honest. It's a business. So I would go Ayuk. I think you'll be a lot happier. I get it. Odunze had over 100 and a touchdown. That's always good. I think this week will be Ayuk. The B in the Back Talk Brothers, the great one, the talent, Gooch. Oh man, God, the show just got better. If nothing else, the show got way more talented. Gooch, brother, I very excited about Sunday. I feel very, very good about the Chiefs starting the season 4-0. Fun fact, since Kansas City has hired Andy Reid, the Kansas City Chiefs with Andy Reid have had a minimum. Every single year, this will be year 11 if it hits. 5-game winning streak. 5-game winning streak. Every single year. Chiefs have a good chance to start 4-0. What a great time to be a Chiefs fan. Not rubbing it in for anybody else. I'm a huge NFL history junkie. It's extremely rare when a dynasty happens. I've never been a fan of a team that has been in a dynasty, so I'm very excited. I mean, the Patriots dynasty, I think, technically it lasted 18 years, the 2001 to 2019, where they win 7 Super Bowls during that time. Went to AFC Championship game, I think 12 times, something crazy. I'm enjoying the dynasty. I also know that when it's over, it's over. Like, I mean, I know the 49ers in the 80s won a Super Bowl in 94, but they didn't. I mean, since that 94 team, when were they really a threat to get back? I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, you know what, they did get back. They didn't win. Oh God, I'm starting off being a jerk to Niners fans, but I mean, are they really a dynasty type team? And if you're a Niners fan, maybe you want to say yes, but I mean, I don't think so. I don't think so. That said, I do expect them to win Sunday. So anyway, man, I'm glad you're here, brother. I want to start Richardson. I just don't know how he's going to do against that Steelers defense yet. I have Goff. I get why you want to do it. Big Mellow 444. A long time ago when Anthony Richardson was at Florida, they played against Florida State, and I made this very short clip. And the quality's terrible, but I said this is why he's a first-round quarterback. And I remember a buddy of mine just responded, because I made the question I made the title, is Anthony Richardson a first-round quarterback? And a buddy of mine put in no. And I'm like, I did a whole video explaining why this guy is an NFL caliber quarterback. I broke down one play and I did it in detail. And I explained how his throwing mechanics were bad. His feet wasn't set, and he made a throw that 10 other NFL quarterbacks probably couldn't make. And then you look at the running ability. I heard from somewhere, I think he was playing like at 260 this year, but you remember the combine ran a 4.43, I believe it was 4.43, 4.41. Somebody commented that Josh Allen, or I think it was Josh Allen's like the best athlete to ever play quarterback. Somebody said maybe it's Lamar Jackson. No, the answer is Anthony Richardson. I mean, here's a dude who's got the size of a tight end and runs like a wide receiver and can throw the ball 60, 70, 80 yards downfield. I mean, the athleticism is literally off the chart. It's crazy. That said, this is a no-brainer. You start Goff. All right. If you want to go with Richardson and say, hey, look, I mean, listen, he's playing at home. The athletic upside is something that I mean, people want to talk about Josh Allen. It's like, great. Can Josh Allen's not near as fast. Lamar Jackson doesn't have that size, I did this offseason. He wanted to play at like 210 because he wanted to be a little faster, because that, 230, which is, by the way, what I think he should play at. I think he should play at the heavier weight and just run less. But I get it. I 100% understand why you want to play Richardson, because I mean, this is one of those rare dudes who can just at any time go off for a 60-yard touchdown run or pass. You're not going to get that out of Goff. You're not going to get that out. Another thing about Goff is that I could see a high scoring game here. I could see something like 31-27, and Goff having maybe one touchdown or no touchdowns because you got two really good running backs. You got Montgomery, who I would, any short yard situation, I would give Montgomery the ball, especially with that offensive line. And then you got a guy like Gibbs who can score from anywhere on the field. I mean, what happens if he has like a 60, 70 yard rushing touchdown? That said, Pittsburgh's defense right now is probably the best defense in the NFL. Probably the best defense in the NFL. TJ Watt, arguably the defensive player of the year. If you're a Lions fan, you want to tell me Aiden Hutchinson is? I would say I disagree, but I get it. I mean, the sacks are there. He's always good against the run. I just think TJ Watt's had a bigger impact on a team that doesn't have as much offensively. I mean, Steelers have scored 3 touchdowns. They're 3-0. There's a reason for that. The one thing is if I remember correctly, was it Highsmith's out? Yeah, Alex Highsmith's out. Jalen Warren, the other running back, is now officially out. So I mean, here's the thing though. He's been phased out of that offense, but I would strongly go against Goff. I would strongly go with Goff, and I know a lot of people have been raving about the Seattle defense. I'm not sold. By the way, last week against the Bears, 10 out of 20, 167, 2 interceptions, 8 carries, 24 yards. So, depending on your scoring system, 24 yards rushing, 167 yards passing, 2 interceptions. I would not. And that was against the Bears, who have a really, really good defense. But the one thing about the Bears is I think the Steelers have a better defense. Funk brings up a good point. This is going to be the best secondary. I'm not sold on Seattle. Okay. I just want to be very clear. I am not sold on Seattle. I think it's a lot of fool's gold. I really, really, really do. I really, really, really believe that. I'm not buying Seattle being this great team. I'm really not. I'm sorry. I mean, if you're a Seahawks fan, you want to tell me I'm wrong, but I mean, look, let's take a look here. You beat Miami with Skylar Thompson, and I mean, and then he got knocked out of the game as well. You beat New England by 3 in overtime. Okay. You beat Bo Nix, a rookie quarterback. So they raved about Caleb Williams winning his first game as a starting quarterback because it's like the first time it happened. They beat Denver 26-20. Okay. How are these teams? By the way, Detroit, if you're not aware, Big Mello, the one thing about Detroit is Detroit loves playing the underdog role. They love this more than anything. And Seattle's won, I think it's something crazy, like 5 straight in Detroit. Yeah, Funk will tell you this, man. Listen, they have not played anybody. I understand the love affair that's going on with the Seahawks. I get it. I'm just telling you this right now. I'm looking at Goff's numbers for the year, and they're not super impressive. They're not super impressive. I mean, right now, 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Yuck. I mean, and he's not a threat he's not a threat. He's not a threat to run the ball either. But the one thing I will say is that his numbers in wins, and I do believe that he will get the win, is significantly better than those in losses. So Big Mello, I encourage you to fight your temptation, go with golf, and I hope to hear back from you next week. I hope to hear back from you next week, and I hope you're sitting here telling me, hey man, I won my fantasy football league. I started golf, even though I didn't need his points on Monday night. It was just icing on the cake. I hope that's the conversation we're having Monday. I encourage somebody to make a trade for Neighbors, and Neighbors had 115 on. Was it 12 for 115? And hopefully that's pretty good. You could say I'm kind of high on the Patriots, to be honest with you. I'm kind of high on the Patriots. I can argue that. I'm not sold on Seattle at all. Seattle wins in Detroit on Monday night. Because I'm gonna level with you. I don't want to. Oh, I'm here kissing the Lions fans, but I don't want to do that. I think Ford Field and the Lions are really going to get up for this game because Dan Campbell hasn't been able. Seattle's just for what I think. By the way, it's Pete Carroll, not McDonald. Okay, so you got I forgot his first name, but you got McDonald coming in from Baltimore. He's a first-time head coach. They're 3-0. Everybody's all excited. They should be, by the way. Like, you should be excited if you're Seattle. This is fun. It's something different. The defense, which has been bad the last couple of years, has played well. Great. You're 3-0. Fantastic. This is a game where I fully expect the crowd to have an impact. By the way, I'm not insulting you guys. This will be the first. Last year, don't get me wrong. Last year, Lions fans were in full force. Ford Field was very exciting. I didn't see a situation though where the fans had an impact, where the crowd noise bothered the other team. I expect it to happen Monday night. I expect some false starts. I expect some issues with the offense, thanks to the Lions fans. I think this will be the game where, because you have a new offense, it's a little different. It's a little different of an offense. Okay, it's a little different of an offense. I expect this week. I like the Lions. I like the Lions. I really do. They are very suspect. Z Smitty, what's up, brother? Ertz, Schultz, or K-Met this week. Schultz has much better touchdown odds than Ertz. That's fair. I'm not getting a line on K-Met. Also, Darnold or Goff this week. Vegas thinks Goff. By the way, smart move. Doing a little bit of research. Not sure exactly which sources you're using because you're saying Vegas. But I like the fact that you did some research. This is what you do if you want to win your fantasy league. By the way, I don't know if you saw in the comments, somebody brought up a comment. Should I trade Ramondre Stevenson for Chris Olave? I said I didn't like that trade. Somebody else put in that, yeah, make that move. So you have some good people in the chat. I don't recognize the name, and if you've come here before and I'm just missing out, I apologize. Funk's been with me for years. This is a dude who knows his stuff. Like, you got some smart people in this chat here, including my boy Funk, who's here to help you. My goal is to help you. So let's kind of break this down in a little more detail, okay? Um, I first off, Schultz, I really really like. Okay, Jacksonville's they've just been a disaster. Okay, they have just been a disaster. All right, I like Schultz. All right, Ertz on the road against Arizona, a team that's kind of struggled. I get that, and also the Washington Commanders. What was it? Jaden Daniels has played 2 games. He's never punted before, and there's a lot of hype and a lot of excitement, and I get that. I really really get that. But the one thing I want to encourage, I like out of the three. I'm going to level with you. I like Schultz best, and here's the thing about K-Met. I know the Rams defense hasn't played really well. I think they'll play better. I have no faith in Caleb Williams. Somebody was asking about Romo Duze. We saw Keenan Allen's coming back. You have DJ Moore. You have a lot of receivers there. I can see him getting lost in the shuffle. By the way, I know that they got Nico Collins, who's leading the NFL in receiving. I get that as well. I'm Ertz is a guy I've always loved. I always loved, as far as like, I mean, he's really one of those guys. I really felt like, kind of been like wrong place, wrong time. Because I think like in another offense, if he started his career a little later, place like Kansas City, he could have like Travis Kelce type of numbers. But at this point in his career, he's not. He's not that guy who's going to get those yards. He doesn't have that speed, athleticism. K-Met has crazy athleticism. I think he's being underutilized, and I have no faith in Caleb Williams. I got a you got an MVP quarterback, CJ Stroud. I mean, hey, look, I like Jaden Daniels. I really do. It's had a couple really great weeks. But let's just kind of look at it. Okay, Ertz, older dude, rookie quarterback on the road. Jaden Daniels looked great. Short week on Monday night, getting a lot of attention. See, you think you see where I'm going, right? Caleb Williams, rookie quarterback, going against a beat up team, but I like the defensive scheme. And by the way, I know Caleb Williams threw for like 360 something last week. He doesn't look good. I don't like the scheme. You also get Keenan Allen coming back. Which quarterback do you really think's the best one? CJ Stroud, the legitimate MVP candidate, or the 2 rookies have flashed? Which defense you think out of the 3 do you want to go against? All right. I got Arizona at home, a defensive-minded coach who's, by the way, been listening to all this hype. By the way, full disclosure, I picked Arizona this week, right? I have a really good coaching staff in LA. I got a team in Jacksonville that gave up 47 on Monday night. First-time defensive coordinator, head coach is on the hot seat. I'm playing at home. I got an MVP candidate. Forget the numbers. CJ Stroud's still a legit MVP candidate. Go with Schultz. I think he got the most athleticism out of the 3. You want to argue K-Met's better athlete? Sure. I get that. I mean, which quarterback do you trust the most? Now, the one negative I will say is Houston, this could be a blowout. Out of these 3 games, I think it's most likely Houston could get the blowout, and then you could be looking at, hey, I haven't had a chance to check on Joe Mixon. I should have done that before, but it may just be Cam Akers getting 30 carries for 85 yards, but I would go with Schultz, and hopefully you're right. Darnold or Goff? Vegas thinks Goff. That's a good one because I'm not sold on this Seattle having this great defense. I'm not sold on that. I like Goff. He's at home. Monday night's always a good thing. Always a good thing. I if you went Goff, I wouldn't be mad at you. Let me just. By the way, I've been known for ranting, but this is just a great question. This is just a great question. So I'm spending a little more time. I will answer all questions today. I'm going to make sure I end Friday answering all questions. I want to make sure I end on a good note. I know Green Bay's favored. I don't know. Let's do it right now. Is Jordan Love going to play? Questionable. Maybe plays, maybe doesn't. All right. By the way, I do expect Sam Darnold to play. There was legitimate concern, but he's not even on the injury report. Okay, not even on the injury report. I know some Packers fan got mad at me and's like, "Oh, you're not talking about the Packers defense enough." Okay, it's not bad defense. All right. I got 8 touchdown passes against the Giants, 49ers, and Texans. 3 pretty good defenses. I can't tell you how much I love Darnold coming out of college. I'm looking at his rushing numbers. None against Houston last week, but we did have 32 against 49ers. Pretty athletic defense. I don't think you can make a bad decision. I'm on a level with you. I don't think you can make a bad decision here. I think most people will tell you Goff. You'll probably have some comments in the chat that are going to tell you Goff. I'm not buying Seattle having this great defense. I'm just not. By the way, for those Packers fans who are mad that I didn't question their defense, I said the Vikings defense is better. They got some good playmakers in Green Bay. I just don't think this is an elite unit. By the way, Jeff Hatley, brand new defensive coordinator, spent the last 5 years in college. His last 4 years as head coach at Boston College. Bottom line, I would not be surprised if Darnold has a good game. I picked the Vikings to win, full disclosure. I also picked the Lions to win. I don't think you can make a bad choice. I really don't think you can make a bad choice. I would lean towards Goff. Either or, you're going to be fine. I think Schultz is your best option. And I whatever you do, I'll be honest with you. I don't think you have any bad options. I don't think you have one that's significantly better than the other. Also, Z Smitty, I like the fact that you did a little bit of research and just trying to get a little more information before you set up your team. That shows that you care about your team, and I'm pulling for you. So let me know what I can do. If I didn't answer your question in enough details, you can put a comment in here. I'll get to after the show. You can email me if you want to go old school, Dan Talks Football at Yahoo. Hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on X, and I will answer anything before Sunday. Now, full disclosure, Sunday morning, phone's off. Don't look at anything before I do the Chiefs Chargers. But tonight, tomorrow, you got any other questions, you hit me up here, and best of luck, brother. All right, sorry about the rant. Sisu, what's up, brother? Nothing against the Lions, but DK will have 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, and will score 40-plus fantasy points. He's on your team. Sisu's guaranteeing victory, calling his shot. DK Metcalf blows up in Detroit. How much fun would that be? So how much fun would that be? And by the way, you never know. I'll be honest with you. I was kind of looking at this game, and they were talking about slot receivers having some luck against Lions secondary, and maybe this is the game Jackson Smith and Jigba comes to life. I don't know. I don't know. The one thing I will say is that there's 2 games on Monday night. One's Miami and Tennessee. The other one's Seattle and Detroit. And even though I am a Chiefs fan, I'm dying to watch Detroit and Seattle. I'll be flipping back and forth only to check on fantasy and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm not looking at I'm really not going to be looking at Tennessee, Miami unless it's a blowout. The one thing I will say is that in a game like Detroit versus Seattle, one team could get up by 14, 20, 24 points, and it's still a game. It's still a game. Detroit's one of those teams that they could get up by 20 or down by 20, and it's still a ball game. So this is going to be a fun game. Davis has been good against DK in his career. Don't bet on DK having the game he's used to when covered by Jacobs or Cam Sutton. That's an interesting point. If I remember correctly, you guys don't have Sutton anymore. Did I get that wrong? Sutton's back with Pittsburgh. I'd also pay attention to Branch. Branch is going to play though, right? Limited to practice yesterday per ESPN. So, I wouldn't blame you. Now K-Met and Goff. I wouldn't blame you if you went Darnold, but I could go with Goff. K-Met, you have a lot of upside. A lot of injuries there in LA. And another thing is both K-Met and Schultz are at home. I'd lean towards Schultz. I really would, but I don't think you're making a bad decision. The one thing I will say is that the Houston Texans did lean a little more towards a running game for the first couple weeks of the season. Joe Mixon, per ESPN, still listed as questionable. Tank Dell is out. Oh, wow. Huh. God, I thought he did a little more, to be honest with you. Schultz, last week, 2 for 11. Oh, God. 7 for 48 all year. At the same time, I could see him like this be the game that he comes alive. K-Met, 15 for 128 and a touchdown. Oh, God. Last week, 10 for 97 and a touchdown. I'm going to stand by. I like Schultz this much more, but I get why you're leaning towards K-Met. I tell you the truth, I expected more from Schultz, but they are running the ball a little more with Mixon. If Mixon doesn't play, it could issue, but I don't have a problem with K-Met and Golf. I got a feeling this will be the week Schultz, but I get it. I would probably go that way. So, Funk, you think Hill over DK? Are you talking Tyreek Hill? If you're thinking Tyreek Hill versus DK is which one to start, go with Tyreek Hill, definitely. Dave Flynn, what's up, brother? Hey, Dan, I got the injury. Oh yeah, yeah. I that snuck up on. I think it stuck up on everybody. Mooney, Addison, Mike Wilson, Alazar, Javonte Williams. Man, thank you so much. God, I wish I could tell you Javonte Williams, who I have no confidence in. Who I unfortunately have no confidence in. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm drawing a complete blank on Mike Wilson. I'm drawing a complete blank on Mike Wilson. I really, really am. You're not meaning Garrett Wilson, are you? I'm sorry, man. I'm just drawing a blank. You're saying Mike Wilson, and I'm just drawing a complete blank. I'm sorry, not Mooney, but Addison, I believe, is going to play. That's going to be a big deal. That is a big deal. Not even questionable if I'm looking at this correct. I'm going on ESPN, which isn't the best matchup, but I could see a situation where Jordan Addison has a good game. I really could. Denver's defense is sneaky good. I wish I had such a man crush on Javonte Williams coming out of North Carolina. They're really just not using him. I wish I could tell you Williams. Another thing is that Jets defense. I think it's going to be a bad week for Denver's offense. You have a tough matchup. I just talked about Mooney. I'm drawing a blank on Mike Wilson completely. I am so sorry. I'm very embarrassed. Is that you ask a question, you mean first and a last name, and I'm just drawing a complete blank. If you're talking Garrett Wilson, which I don't think you got that wrong, but I would tell you Garrett Wilson. I apologize, drawing a blank on Mike Wilson. I'm going to tell you Jordan Addison. First time playing, there could be rust, there could be missed throws. It's in Green Bay. I know Green Bay has a good defense. This is a really good player that hasn't played in a while, and I can see a situation where Green Bay tries. By the way, if you have Justin Jefferson, start Justin Jefferson. I'm not saying bench him. I would never say that. I can see a situation where Jordan Addison, this is kind of like one of those breakout games. I'm very embarrassed to say, like, I'm just drawing a complete blank on Mike Wilson. You're not talking. I'm sitting here just drawing a blank here, and it's driving me nuts because, like, I mean, are you talking Jeff Wilson? I apologize. I'm so embarrassed. I'm dropping the ball here. Jeff Wilson, Garrett Wilson. I'm messing up, but let me know. Let me know who, if Mike Wilson, if I'm just drawing a blank or what. I want to tell you Addison, who I think could have a massive game. Yeah, Funk. By the way, if you think Funk's one of these guys who always agrees with me, that is not the case. That is not the case. Funk is, even though Funk's been a long time regular, Funk is the first one to tell you. One of the reasons why I love having Funk on is that we can have disagreements and we're both cool about it, but he's not one of those dudes. I'm going to take a very quick commercial break, and when I come back, I'll come back with hour 2 of Afternoon Delight. Just stay tuned. Don't forget, every Chiefs game, I will do live play-by-play and reaction. This Sunday is going to be a great game as Kansas City travels to Arrowhead West. I mean SoFi Stadium to play the Chargers. Join the fun live and let me know how your fantasy is doing, or celebrate your team's victory, or talk about Sunday or Monday Night Football. It's going to be awesome, and I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. As I take a quick commercial break to fix my hair, just a reminder, my award-winning NFL Weekly Picks video is out. If you haven't watched it already, make sure you do it. Not now. This is only a commercial. We still have more afternoon delight to give you, but do check out my NFL Weekly Picks video. It's awesome! Dan Talks Football is a proud affiliate of BetUS. You can get up to 125% bonus as featured, or do what I did and take a 20% bonus up to $2,500. I made a video where I show you my first $100 deposit, and thanks to the extra 20%, it turned into $120 instantly. This promotion isn't just for 1 or 2, but your first 3 deposits. Click on the link in the description and start winning today. All right. Hour 1's in the books. You're here for hour 2 of Afternoon Delight. All right. Hey, Dave, listen, I apologize. It took me a minute. Michael Wilson, I know who this is. All right. Took me a minute. Receiver out of Stanford for the Arizona Cardinals. All right. Guy I liked coming out of college. 8 for 64 last week against Detroit. Biggest game of his career, so that's why you picked him up. Okay, Dave, I dropped the ball. Listen, I dropped the ball, and I apologize. All right, doesn't change my answer. I do think this could be a breakout game for Jordan Addison. Remember last year as a rookie, what did he have? 10 touchdowns last year as a rookie? Is that correct? I mean, let me spend some more time looking up numbers I should have memorized. But I mean, 10 touchdowns as a rookie last year. First time playing divisional game. By the way, he has a legit quarterback in Sam Darnold now. Yeah. Even though I dropped the ball there, I would go with Jordan Addison. I got a feeling he's going to have a big game. It's a big game, even though he's been out for a little bit. I go with Addison. The Adams thing kind of snuck up on me too, but go with Addison. He has the most upside. I wish I could tell you Javonte Williams. By the way, hold on. If you're wondering if you should just drop Javonte Williams because he hasn't been productive, hold on. I keep expecting him to be used like Alvin Kamara was used when Sean Payton was with the Saints. I keep expecting that. It hasn't happened. I keep expecting it because he does have that type of skill set. I don't know why it hasn't come together. I love this kid coming out of college. By the way, he's high school valedictorian, went to North Carolina as a linebacker, switched over to running back, made the transition perfectly. Just things for whatever reason hasn't panned out. This is a dude who's got all the tools. I don't know why. Sooner or later, it's going to come together. Maybe on another team. Yeah, Schultz has the best matchup, and I expect Detroit to pound a rock while Darnold's been the best quarterback in the NFC North. By the way, this is a Lions fan telling you Darnold's been the best quarterback in the NFC North. I know. Yeah, he doesn't have a quarterback. So I get that. I'm going to start Collins and Godwin for sure, but flex have DK, Hill, Diggs, and Higgins. So hard to choose. I would go with Tyreek Hill, and I'm going to tell you why I go Tyreek Hill. DK Metcalf can score from anywhere on the field. Let's be clear. I mean, he has. By the way, I think if these two guys were to race in like 100 yards, I'm almost convinced DK would win. But that start-stop, like the ability to score from anywhere on the field, like I would give that Tyreek Hill. I really think that they're going to just force feed Tyreek Hill. They're just going to say, look, we got no quarterback. We're going to find you a way to touch the ball 10 to 15 times. And I just got a feeling that's what they're going to do. With DK Metcalf, you don't have to do that. Kenneth Walker comes back. You have Jackson Smith and Jigba. I've been for years, I'm the only person that will tell you that Tyler Lockett's better than DK Metcalf, maybe not for fantasy, but you got a plethora of weapons. I'm not saying there's no weapons there's no other weapons in Miami besides Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying that, but I really think that they're going to force feed Tyreek Hill. I really believe that. As far as Godwin, I'm not. I don't blame you, but I'm not 100% sure that's the best. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm looking at DK and I'm looking at Tyreek Hill and I'm like, you're putting those two on the bench and definitely starting Godwin. I understand you have to start Collins, but I would really suggest you go after Tyreek Hill. I really believe that the plan is going to get Tyreek Hill 10 to 15 touches. I really believe that. Saquon Prods. Like the name, man. It's pretty cool. I need to start 2 running backs and a wide receiver and a flex. My options are okay. So out of these, you need to leave out one. Okay, this is a tough because you have Tyreek Hill, you have Etienne, Ayuk, Dobbins, Tony Pollard. Boy, that is tough. So out of Etienne, Dobbins, and Pollard, you need one to put on the bench, and that is really, 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 really tough. Because I'm looking here, and there's not anybody that I really want to bench. I mean, there's really not anybody I want to bench. I know Dobbins is going against a tough Chiefs defense. But right now, I mean, he's getting lots of touches, and I have a hard time benching a guy that, as long as he's healthy, I'm firmly convinced honestly, he may be a better running back. And I have a huge love affair with Travis Etienne. I really, really do. But I might go with Dobbins over Etienne. By the way, Etienne's a much better receiving option. Yeah, it's a PPR league. But yeah. That's a tough one. Tony Pollard I thought would really share more of the workload with Spears. Pollard might be a guy that I might call a must start because I'm convinced Miami's defense is bad. However, if Denver Gator joins the chat, he'll be mad because he loves Will Levis. But I say, by the way, Saquon, I probably shouldn't joke like that because I don't recognize the name. My buddy Denver Gator hates Will Levis with a passion. So I always give him business. You got some really good options. That's a tough one. I got done telling you about Tyreek Hill, but I also think Brandon Ayuk's a guy that it could have a huge game this week. You don't have any bad options here, man. You really don't. I would lean towards Tyreek Hill over Ayuk. I don't think you're making a bad decision. I would go. I'm gonna go kind of against my own advice here and go with Tony Pollard as your number 1 running back. I don't like the Dolphins defense that much. Pollard's been getting a lot more touches over Tyreek Spears. Tyree Spears, and even though I have no confidence in Will Levis, I could see a situation where out of these three running backs, Pollard's probably going to get the most touches. Probably going to get the most touches. And I also like the fact that he's playing on Monday night. I always like playing guys on Monday night. Guys usually show up to play. It's a little more excitement, and I enjoy it more. So it's a very childish thing to tell you when it comes to fantasy football, but and there's no logic in it either. There's no logic like, oh, I like playing guys on Monday night. No logic in it whatsoever, but it's more fun. Go Tyreek Hill, go with Pollard. Okay, those would be the guys. I'm going to tell you out of these guys because you need to start a wide receiver to have that be Tyreek Hill. Go with Pollard, and go with Dobbins, and then put Travis Etienne as your flex. And the reason why I say this is because even though Dobbins probably isn't a threat to catch a lot of passes, and he's going against a tough Chiefs defense, I do think that he's going to get about 20 touches. I really do. I really think that with Herbert banged up and the offensive line issues, I can see the Chargers just because one thing about Dobbins is that he's a threat to score anywhere on the field. I'm actually all these guys are, to tell you the truth, but I can see a situation where Dobbins is going to get 20 touches, Pollard's going to get 20 touches, Travis Etienne I think is going to get 20 touches. I think the question is between Tyreek Hill and Ayuk. Both these guys, I could see getting about 10 touches each. I really do. I just think Tyreek Hill is a slightly more viable option. And by the way, there's no logic behind this at all. It's a little more fun to play a guy on Monday night. It really is. But I'm telling you to bench Ayuk is tough for me. That's what I would do. You're not really making any bad moves here. I'm on level with you. You're really, really, really not making any bad moves here. But final answer is go with Pollard, go with Dobbins, go with Tyreek Hill, and then go ahead and flex out ETN. And I hope that Ayuk doesn't outperform Tyreek Hill for you. But man, great question. That's a good one. I hope to hear more. I hope that you hit me up Monday and well, I mean, I'm a Chiefs fan, so I don't want Dobbins to do anything, but I hope you hit me up Monday and like, hey, I'm in really good shape. I just need 30 or 40 points. And then you hit me up on Tuesday, like, hey, Dan, I won by 50 going away. Thank you. So Keaton Talk Sports. Look, KTS. By the way, Keaton from Keaton Talk Sports will be joining me the final hour of Afternoon Delight on Monday. Really excited. Normally, if you ever want to come on my show, Keaton found me and shot me an email. I was like, yeah, come on. And he nailed it. He was fantastic. If you ever want to come on, just hit me up. You can DM me on Instagram, Twitter. You can go old school, email me. You can put a comment in any one of my videos. Hey, Dan, okay, can I come on for an hour? I want to talk about A, B, and C. Normally, if you come on my show, I give you an outline of things I'm going to touch base on. If you're an experienced guy who's been on my show like Keaton's just going to come on and rant for about an hour straight. He has a great channel, Keaton Talk Sports. He does a picks video, just like I do. And we're kind of having a friendly competition. So sorry I ranted about that a little more. I don't know why I'm drinking my second energy drink of the day. Trust me when I say this. I don't need it. Hot take, Doug Peterson gets fired before the season's over. I could see that. You're probably going 0-4. And full disclosure, I picked Jacksonville. I didn't get a chance to do the video, and that's on me. I should have found time. I didn't do it. I dropped the ball. I had Jacksonville winning in the division. I thought the new defensive coordinator coming in would tighten up the defense. They were 7-3 last year at one point in time. My boy Perry, who was in the chat earlier, hopefully he's still there. Perry has been telling me since March Brian Thomas Jr. is the best receiver in this draft, and just ignore the experts. This guy's the best one. Massive upside at receiver. Jacksonville, remember, traded down and still got Brian Thomas Jr. Add him to Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne. New defensive coordinator. Lots of talent on that defense. Lots of talent. Like that. There is no way Jacksonville should be 0-4. No way. I 100% believe he could be fired. By the way, they do have an excellent option to take over and Press Taylor. He's the offensive coordinator. He's a guy very well respected in NFL circles. Ryan Nielsen is also a guy that has a lot of experience. He's brought in as the defensive coordinator. They may normally when you fire an offensive-minded coach, you want to go with the defensive-minded coach. Excuse me. So you could have Nielsen take over as an interim, but usually if you have somebody with some coaching experience, Press Taylor, that's my knowledge just off the top of my head. I don't think he's ever been an NFL head coach, but he's a guy that you could go in and say, hey, listen, just right the ship for the next whatever. There are some excellent head coach candidates available. I've talked about Mike Vrabel quite a bit. Bill Belichick's available. I mean, after the Saints scored all those touchdowns, Clint Kubiak, the Rams defensive coordinator Chris Shula, Bloodlines, college teammate of McVay. I mean, these guys were played together at the University of Miami of Ohio. Not the U, it was the MAC team, Miami of Ohio. So, I mean, he's probably going to be head coach sooner or later. Brian Dable's probably going to get fired. I wouldn't go if I'm Jacksonville. Brian Dable's not the guy I want to bring in, but I do think he'll be available. I'm drawing a blank, but every year the USC head coach is thrown into the mix. Keep in mind Jacksonville, which tried to bring in Urban Meyer. They probably won't go that route, but my point is that you have some names out there that are available to be an NFL head coach. It wouldn't surprise me. I would have told you Brian Dable's the number one now. And by the way, if Jacksonville beats Houston, we're not having this conversation, but you go 0-4, yeah. Yeah, I was pretty sure that's a great question, and I get why you're struggling. No wrong answers though, by the way. Higgins is off to a slow start. Yeah, I could see that as well. I just think they're kind of phasing him out because they like that is Loftus, and I'm butchering that name. Loftus is a guy that they just love. I mean, they love. He's been productive. He's big. He's strong. He's fast. He's smart. I say he's smart because he graduated from Princeton. Maybe it's a stereotype I shouldn't use, but usually if you have a college diploma from an Ivy League school, I assume you're smart. But they really like that kid, and I think that with the money they're going to pay Chase sooner or later, I think they're like, we'll just kind of phase you out. It sounds crappy, I know, and I wish it didn't exist, but sometimes teams do behave this way. Like, hey, this player makes X amount of dollars and he wants to make more. Or this, by the way, is Loftus, which I'm butchering his name, a 6th round pick who's making almost nothing. Very, very productive. This, but you're right. Going against a bad Panthers defense, I mean. By the way, Joe Burrow it's really weird that when you look at an 0-3 team, what's the first position you look at? You look at quarterback. Joe Burrow's played well. Yeah, you're right. I don't know, but this is, by the way, a response to this. I still would go Tyreek Hill, but I Funk's right. The Higgins could sooner or later. Higgins is going to have one of those 90, 100 yard days and 2 touchdowns. It could be this one. It really could. I recommended not to start Rico Dowdle, and he had a touchdown reception last night. So, yeah, Funk agrees. Oh, I agree, Keaton. And let's talk about this Monday. By the way, guys, no, Dave, that's on me. That's on me. I have a YouTube channel where I talk football. There's a viable fantasy football option, and I'm drawing a blank. I'm drawing a blank. So you did not mess that up. I dropped the ball. Here. It took me a minute. But who should you start? It's Jordan Addison. I know Wilson had a good week last week. I still wouldn't bank on it. I wish I could tell you Javonte Williams, who I love. He's being phased out, hasn't been productive. Mooney, talented dude. I don't understand that. I don't understand the Falcons' offense at all. Jordan Addison is finally healthy. It's a division game. He put up 10 touchdowns last year, and it was a combination of, I may not get them all right, but it was Nick Mullins, Kirk Cousins, Joshua Dobbs, the rookie out of BYU. I think there may have been one other quarterback. Minnesota used like 4 or 5 quarterbacks last year. Well, they got Sam Darnold. Go with Jordan Addison. But not no. You didn't mess up. I dropped the ball. That's on me. You said Michael Wilson, and I just drew a complete blank, and that's on me. Full disclosure, Dave. I don't recognize you. So if you've been a subscriber, you've been here for a while, I apologize. If you stay in the community, and I hope you do, realize that I will mess up on names. I'm bad with names. This is why you always call your girl baby. Always call her baby. Do not call your girlfriend the wrong name. Dan talks football. What was that? A family tip, girlfriend advice, whatever you want to call it. But I give great advice here, and not just fantasy football, but life advice, and that's call your girl baby at all times. But but go with Jordan Addison. Please let me know how you do. Please. I hope to hear more from you, buddy. That this is on me. Yeah, I dropped the ball, man. When am I streaming the Kansas City game? It'll be 5 minutes before the start of the game. We're on the same time zone. We're on 1:20. 1:20. I have to get the Sunday ticket, and I know that the YouTube streaming, I'm like about, I think, 5 to 10 seconds behind. I'm worried with the Sunday ticket. It may even be worse. I've never used it. Full disclosure, Perry, I haven't even bought it yet. I'm stalling. I'm going to buy it either tonight, or I may even wait till tomorrow, but I'll have it set up. Hopefully there's no problems. I'll be using the NFL Sunday ticket, which I didn't want to spend all that money on. But Pollard over Derrick Henry. If it's this one, or did I give you somebody else? Let me make sure I get this right. Pollard over Henry. That's a really good one. Because here's the deal with Derrick Henry. I'm almost positive I'm getting a touchdown. I could really see this being the game where by full disclosure, I think Baltimore wins. I really do. Henry's more likely. God, this is a good one because I can make an argument with both ways. I think Pollard's going to get more yards. He's going to get more receptions. Henry's going to get a touchdown. Which one do you want to start? That's a great question. That is a great question. I don't have a great answer because I'm leaning towards Pollard like this much. And my logic is that I don't like the Dolphins defense. Sunday night's always a fun time. The only thing better than starting a guy on Sunday night, starting a guy on Monday night. Here's the deal. You're going to get more receptions with Pollard. I really believe that. I really think Pollard could have 5 to 7 receptions. I don't think you're going to get that with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry could have 20 to 30 carries against the Bills defense. I'm leaning against that. I think what Buffalo's going to do, really good defensive-minded coach. I think Buffalo's going to, the way that they're going to attack Baltimore is make Lamar Jackson make plays in the passing game, which is let's be honest, it's really not strength. It's what's been killing him. Dan, why do you have Baltimore winning? I have a feeling Baltimore at home is going to make some plays on the defensive side of the ball. I think this will be the game that Josh Allen has a few turnovers. And look, Josh Allen, in my opinion, is the NFL MVP right now. 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I'm a Chiefs fan. My quarterback's throwing an interception every single game. Josh Allen has none. That's how I see it. Pollard, I think, could have a huge game on Monday night. And I really thought that Pollard and Spears would be splitting carries. I really thought it'd be, one guy would get like 15. I thought it'd be like Pollard would get like 15 and then Spears would get like 10 to 12. It's not like that at all. It looks like Pollard's getting like 20 and Spears is getting like 5. So I could also argue because I think it's much more likely Derrick Henry does score a touchdown. Yeah, God, I would love to rant about this. God, Funk, I'm gonna prevent myself because I want to talk some more football, but yeah. I would love to talk about this more, and I'm with you. I think we agree. I'm not going to go into detail about this, but yeah, in Nevada, I'm getting some weird commercials because I normally I DVR everything. Late at night, I drink a lot of energy drinks. I'm kind of a amped up person, so at night I've been watching a show that I can't flip through the commercials, just try to get me asleep. It's just all these political ads, local and for the presidential, and almost all of them are political, and I'm done. I don't want, and I know it's another month, so I think More Than American Things, I can do that, or it's really I think more. Reddick might be interested in coming back to Philly. It's funny because I always believe that when a player holds out, by the way, it's good seeing you, Slasher. When a player holds out, I always believe that he's just itching to get back on the field. He's just dying to get back on the field. And I think the Jets, I don't know if this is the best decision or not. I thought that when they lost Jermaine Johnson, who I just think has all universe type potential, that the Jets were going to just buckle. And instead, Will McDonald, remember he was their first round pick last year. He just stepped right in like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm getting 5 sacks in 3 games. Good luck stopping me. And Will McDonald, by the way, I could be an absolute monster. I really thought that the Jets would do something a little different. I thought that maybe they would work something out. Reddick, I think, is getting a little itchy. Another thing is that the way Vic Fangio plays defense, I really think that I can't speak for it. I heard something this offseason about one of the players complained like, hey, if I wanted to talk to Fangio about something, that I have to like schedule an appointment and I have to, I can't, he's not accessible. And that really bothered me. I've heard of NFL head coaches being more like CEOs but I've always felt like the best ones you could always approach and say, hey, look, I want to do A, B, and C. But the way Fangio plays defense is, I think Reddick would really love it. And I'm just spitballing. Maybe Reddick's watching some of Philly. He's got some fans. He's got some friends on the team, and he's wildly productive. He may just be looking at that defense, going, I can do this, man. I could sign with Philly now and still get over 10 sacks, and I don't know. I'm going to stand by. I still think Nolan Smith gets double-digit sacks this year, but yeah. That's $1 million question. Several $1 million question. I think GM for the Jags. Oh, yeah. I mean, this offseason, they gave Lawrence all that money. I thought it was genius when they traded down and still got Brian Thomas Jr. Remember, they were picking, I think it was 17th. They traded down to 23rd. I remember right after the season was over, they put all the blame on the defensive coordinator. I wasn't sure about that. Then I remember they gave Tyson Campbell a ton of money. The new defensive coordinator came in, said that he's going to start, they're going to take Trayvon Walker, play him a little bit on the inside. They're going to get a little more creative defensively. So there's a lot to blame, to be honest with you. But I know what happened is that once they brought in Urban Meyer and that didn't work, because I really thought that like what they were planning on doing in Jacksonville with Urban Meyer made sense. I was all on board with it and I understood the logic. And once they didn't do that, they said, okay, we're going to do just the opposite. We're going to do just the opposite. We're going to bring Doug Peterson. We're going to bring in the guy that he wants on offense, and there was some success. I mean, you had that. Remember, they came back. They were down by 27 at half against the Chargers. Won that playoff game. Lost at Arrowhead. No shame in losing at Arrowhead. No shame losing at Arrowhead in the playoffs. I mean, it's a dynasty in Kansas City. I'm not bragging. It's facts are facts. So, after this season, I could see them just cleaning house, and you got some options. Like Belichick's a good option. You could go Belichick. You could just, I could see Shah Khan. For those of you who don't know, he's a Pakistani billionaire. I could see him just saying, look, Bill Belichick, you run everything. You want player control? Fine. You want to be the general manager in name? Fine. You want to do whatever. I can see him doing that. I can see him bringing in a guy like Mike Vrabel and then doing like a power structure like they have in Kansas City, where the head coach and general manager report directly to the owner. I could see him just saying, you know what, I need to have a new GM. I need to get somebody more of a defensive minded skill set or headset. somebody like John Lynch, for example, who runs things in San Francisco. I could see him doing that. You might have to consider, hey, look, we gave Trevor Lawrence all this money. We might have to move on. I don't know. There's a lot of things I could have seen happening the first quarter of the season. I would not have pictured Jacksonville going 0-4. So it's hard to say. Cliff, man, it's been a while, brother. Oh, man, I'm fantastic. I've been looking for your team picks. So, yeah, so I'm a little behind on comments, so I want to make sure I'm going to keep this rant short, Cliff. It's so good seeing you again, man. So, Cliff, here's the drill. I started something called Afternoon Delight, where instead of Friday night, I come on every single day. And for the first time ever, I said, I'm going to do fantasy football. It just exploded. I can talk sports betting. I can talk fantasy. I can talk NFL history. I'm just a junkie. That's all it is to it. My picks video is below. I literally, right before I came on, I put action on Pittsburgh. The cover 1. I should just took the money line. I don't know why I picked Pittsburgh 1. I kind of feel silly now. My picks video is below. If you haven't checked it out, do check out my picks video. It's awesome. I was going to go down to matchups, but the show's always revolved around the premise of, if you ask a question, I have an answer. And people are talking about fantasy, man. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been really good. As far as my picks, do check out my picks videos. They're really great. Right before I came on, I put action on Pittsburgh. That's my number one game to put action on. I love the matchup. I don't know why Pittsburgh's only a 1-point favorite. I know that they're on the road. It just makes sense. You have a team that struggles stopping the run versus a team that's really good at running the ball. A team that struggles offensively versus maybe the best defense in football. This is a no-brainer. This line should be honestly, last week Pittsburgh opened at 1, ended up at 3. I really thought this would be at 3 by now. It's still at 1. I feel like I'm missing something glaringly obvious in the Steelers-Colts game. But it's been a lot of fantasy. It's been a lot of fun. Cliff, check out my picks video. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. You can also go old school. I set up an email address, dantalksfootball@yahoo. If you have any questions, comments, shoot me an email, man, if you want. But yeah, all the questions have been fantasy. It's been great. I'm not going to complain about it because hey, listen, if you have a question, I have an answer. So, but yeah, I set up everything. This is going to be kind of an Fridays are kind of an open day. All right. Monday, I kind of preview everything. Tuesday's a review day. Wednesday and Thursday are fantasy football days. Friday's kind of an open day. I might actually do fantasy football Fridays because it's been a lot of fun and I've been getting a lot of engagement. But I do have my picks on a spreadsheet. I kept track of the point spread movement. None of my picks have changed. If you're going to put action on a game, put action on Pittsburgh. It 1 point. Numbers aren't good, but anyway, man, Cliff, it's been a while, but man, it's great to see you in the chat again. I can't tell you how happy I am to see you in the chat. But yeah, it's been more fantasy content and it's been a lot of fun. It's been really great, man. It's been really great. Kind of went on a rant here. Slasher, by the way, Slasher, man, it's so good to see you in the chat, man. Like Cliff was saying, he wanted more of the matchups, but I will say this. I probably won't get a chance to go into a lot of detail, but what a great game. What a great game. It's kind of funny because I'm either tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to sign up for an NFL Sunday ticket. And The early game, I can kind of pick and choose which one I'll watch. And there's so many great ones I want to pay attention to. But I mean, Philly at Tampa, that's going to be a fun one. I got action on Pittsburgh, so I'll probably try to watch that one. But Minnesota in Green Bay, that's going to be a good one. One of my all-time favorite rivalries is Saints and Atlanta. More than likely, what I'll probably do is just watch the red zone early on. But so many games I can't wait to watch. But yeah. Slasher says, I think it would be similar to the CJ situation. Funk going to definitely going to get more than he's getting paid right now, but probably not as much as he's looking for. I mean, one thing that Philly's done a fantastic job, maybe better than any other team in the National Football League, is drafting replacements. And that's what they did with Nolan Smith. I mean, and Nolan Smith, I know he hasn't had the sack production yet, but it's just a matter of time. And then, you bring in Zach Bond. I did not see this out of anywhere. I mean, he's just been lights out. It's kind of funny. They had Devin White, and I kept on thinking, oh, Devin White's going to be the guy. Devin White's going to be the guy. No, we got Zach Bond. By the way, I'm looking at Nolan Smith Jr., 6 tackles. Hey, Dan, how's he going to get double-digit sacks? He'll get there. Bryce Huff, they gave a lot of money to. He has 1 tackle. That's been a disaster. Okay, that's fine. I'm looking here. I know somebody on the Eagles has some sacks here. But the one thing is about the Eagles is that they do such a great job that I knew that they were going to just flat out replace, they were going to replace Hassan Reddick with Nolan Smith. No, it hasn't panned out so far. Let me look at the numbers here, because I went through. I thought it'd be a lot easier to find here. Okay, I'm looking at sacks here. 4 sacks is not good. I was really expecting. Zach Bond has 2. Zach Bond has 37 tackles, 2 sacks. Holy shit. Jordan Davis has a sack, and Milton Williams has a sack. I was really expecting a little more production there. Tackle for losses, Milton Williams and Nakobe Dean has 3. Jalen Carter had a good week last week, but maybe you do bring Hassan Reddick back. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. If I'm Hassan Reddick, I'm probably getting a little antsy. You remember when number 26 went to the Jets, was cut instantly. Maybe one of the greatest running backs I've ever seen play. Le'Veon Bell, sorry. Remember Le'Veon Bell held out that whole year, came back, just was not the same. He got some guaranteed money from the Jets, but it just wasn't the same. If I'm Hassan Reddick, honestly, I can't speak for Hassan Reddick. Okay, I don't know. I do know this. He walked on at Temple. He's from the area. Philly's not for everybody. I think Hassan Reddick probably likes Philly. He thought that he'd get more money. He didn't. You got to change. Here's the deal. I watched Cowboys Giants last night. Okay. I don't know what your opinion was, and I want to make sure I don't rant too much because I'm behind on comments. I'm not terribly okay. Not a huge comment. Not a huge amount of comments. I'm going to answer all of them. So I'm going to rant a little bit. If I'm Hassan Reddick and I watched Thursday Night Football, And I was a part of that Eagles team that just fell apart down the stretch. I'm thinking to myself, I go back to Philly, I'm winning the NFC East. That's what I saw. I saw two teams that have limitations in the Cowboys and Giants. Great game. Great game. Don't get me wrong. Great game. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it. I like the 20-15 scores. I don't want to see. I'm the only guy in the world doesn't want this. Excuse me. Sorry. I don't want to see 49-45. I don't want to see that. I can watch arena football. I don't want to see that crap. No, I want to see 2015. I love it. Football's so much fun for me. If I'm Hassan Reddick and I watch that game, I'm thinking to myself, I signed with Philly, I'm winning the NFC East. You get in the playoffs, anything can happen. Kansas City was a 4 seed. They won the Super Bowl. I've seen wild card teams win Super Bowls. But if I'm Hassan Reddick and I watch Thursday Night Football, I'm thinking to myself, I signed with the Eagles. I'm winning that division. Once you get into the playoffs, it's over. I'm thinking to myself, I'm again speculating. I have no idea. But if you practiced with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, you know the upside of those guys. He knows who Zach Baun is. Zach Baun is playing lights out. So I'm going back to a defense that could use me. I know there's talent galore. I'm speculating. But if I'm a dude who's one of the best players in the National Football League, and I'm watching football on Sunday and Thursday, especially, Eagles, as somebody who's a former Eagles watching the Giants and Cowboys play, I'm probably getting antsy to play. Maybe you just come back. Maybe you come back. You beg the Eagles, eat a little bit of crow. And by the way, it's a little awkward coming back in there, but I don't know. Maybe he hates Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. Maybe he got in a fist fight in practice in the locker room with Nolan Smith. I don't know. But if I'm Hassan Reddick, and by the way, maybe he can work something out. I remember they traded; it was conditional. Maybe you can work something out where you go back and just forget the trade compensation. I don't know. If I'm the Eagles, keep in mind there's a lot of stuff behind closed doors that we're not going to know. Maybe they're frustrated that Hassan Reddick didn't want to stop the run. Maybe the Eagles are happy to get rid of him. I don't know. I know that if I'm Hassan Reddick, I'm speculating that, hey, look, I forget it. Because originally Hassan Reddick, I wasn't sure that he really kind of fit what the Jets were doing, because one thing about that defense, that wide nine defense, there's kind of a speed's important, which he has plenty of, but he's not really a lengthy dude. He's not one of those long dudes like Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson. He doesn't really have that length that's kind of important in that defense. I wasn't sure he'd really fit perfectly. He's got that speed. I don't know. If I'm Hassan Reddick, I would want to come back to Philly. It kind of looks like it would be a better fit. You're from the area. If I'm looking at the Jets, I'm not sure they're winning that division. They look good. Buffalo looks better right now. Of course, I picked the Bills to lose and the Jets to win, so things could change. But if I watch Thursday Night Football, and I watched the Eagles at all this year, and I have. Who's the best team in the NFC East? It's the Eagles. I'm not saying this because I know you're an Eagles fan. I watch Thursday Night Football. I've watched a lot of football. I've watched those two teams that played as they are. Neither one of those teams are going into the playoffs and running and beating 2 or 3 playoff teams. All right, those two teams can't beat the team that Kansas City played in the Super Bowl in San Francisco. I watched Detroit. Detroit's beaten both those teams. Green Bay, Minnesota. What I saw on Thursday night are two teams that are not really that good right now. Dallas has more potential. Giants have some pieces, sure. But if I'm an Eagles fan like you are, I'm watching Thursday Night Football and I'm going like, oh, God. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is our division. This is our division. Yeah, let's bring back Hassan Reddick. Let's do it. We've had 4 sacks in 3 games. I should have known that. I didn't. I should. We beat Tampa Bay, and good chance that you do. Let's do this. Funk. I'm gonna throw this. I'm gonna make it a little more fun. Let's just have some fun. Let's just have some fun. You lose at Tampa. Washington goes to the desert and wins. Washington's 3-1. Eagles are 2-2. What team is winning the NFC East? It's Philly. It's still Philly. Even with a 1-game deficit, even if Jaden Daniels plays phenomenal, do I really think that Washington is going to win 1 or 2 games against the Eagles from what I've seen? The answer is no. Do I like Vic Fangio's defense against a rookie quarterback, even if he looks fantastic? Yeah, I do. Especially that Eagles defense. So, anyway, sorry for the rant. Perry says Giants, Titans, Miami, and Jags could be the top 4 picks in the draft. Absolutely, they could be. Absolutely. And it's funny. Giants and Titans, I think, will definitely be looking at quarterback. I think Miami, I mean, I know that they're going to hope, oh, yeah, our doctors say Tua's fine. No, you need a backup plan. What do you do if you're Jacksonville? Do you just, hey, is there an NFL team that wants Jacksonville, that wants Trevor Lawrence to be the quarterback? I have no idea how that can you trade a quarterback when you just sign them that massive contract? I don't think you can. I think that the Jags are going to be stuck with Trevor Lawrence. And originally I thought that would have been terrific, but now I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I would say this because this is such a defensive heavy draft. If I'm the Jags and I'm picking early, you got some options here. Do you just take the best defensive player in the draft and say, you know what, we went with an offensive minded coach. We invested a lot in offensive weapons. Let's scrap that. Let's just build this defense from hell. And then let's just try to make it work with Lawrence, which, by the way, you're handicapped to Lawrence. I don't see a way you move on from Trevor Lawrence. If you want to bench him and then, hey, Mac Jones, save us. Okay, let's see how it works. I don't see it, but Miami should move on from Tua. I hope that whoever is talking to Tua right now tells them, hey, dude, take whatever that guaranteed money is, live the rest of your life wonderfully. I have a hunch he would do great on TV. Tua's a kid that I think could go into coaching if he wanted to. I think he's good TV. Maybe he's just a motivational speaker. Maybe he just goes around and speaks to, colleges, universities. There's a lot of NFL players that become motivational speakers that go to businesses. I could see Tua doing that. Maybe Tua just, buys a boat, sails around. Who knows? Listen, you got $100 million. You're set for life unless you just do stupid stuff. You're set. Enjoy it. Have fun. Giants and Titans look like teams, picking in top 4. Yeah. Perry S. Keaton, what are your thoughts on the week Pats game? By the way, I'm going to answer all these comments. I am behind, but I don't have a laundry list of comments today. So I will answer everything today. This is a great response, and I can't wait for Keaton to come on, and we'll talk some football Monday. Be kind of an open forum. I'm just going to let Keaton just rant for an hour. It's going to be great. Pats will play much better than last week, despite the 49ers injuries. I have them winning, but the Pats cover 10, but hopefully put off an upset. You heard it here. Keaton Talk Sports says, bet your life savings on the Pats to cover 10. Oh, man. Can't wait for Keaton to come on Monday. AK, brother. My running backs are Hall, Kamara, Etienne, Ford. My wide receivers are London, Rice, Neighbors, Godwin. My tight end, Bowers, and Goddard. Would you do Etienne in London for Brian Robinson and Debo? That is a great question. Because you're trying really hard to get rid of Etienne, and I get it. I get it. Sometimes you just don't like a player. The one thing I will say is that I do think Etienne has a lot of value in a fantasy football league. I just want to be clear about that. I mean, I know the Jacksonville offense has struggled, but Etienne still has value. He's also been productive, but I mean, Hall and Kamara are your 1 and 2. You got to find another dude for Ford. I will say this. I mean, you got some guys in Rice, Neighbors, and Godwin that are really, really good. You got great tight ends, by the way. So I remember you were talking about a trade for Jonathan Taylor. So I will say this. I low-key kind of like this trade, and I'll tell you why. When Debo comes back, Debo you could use as a flex option. Keep in mind, I always like having a running back more as a flex, but Debo offers a lot of options. Okay, London, this is a guy who should be a wide receiver number 1. Atlanta's confused on what they're doing, but right now you're not. I mean, you started Neighbors last night, I'm assuming, so you already got 20 points. I think Rice is going to have a good game again. There's no reason why you're not. And by the way, Bowers or Goddard, you're probably getting some points. I would possibly make this trade. Keep in mind, with Austin Eckler out, I think Brian Robinson might have a huge game. I'm a lot higher on ETN, but you commented several times that you're wanting to trade him. If you don't like a guy, you don't like a guy. I get it. And the best part is about making this trade is that I would make this trade knowing that Debo is not going. I would make this trade knowing that Debo is not going to play this week. I know he's questionable. Just keep him off your roster. If I would recommend doing this. Keep in mind, I want you to be warned. Number 1, I think Etienne's a solid player. He's a 3-down back with home run speed. All right. I need you to know that. London also has some massive potential. It's not being utilized. You may lose a little bit in the trade for Brian Robinson, but you're banking on Debo's upside as, using him because Christian McCaffrey is going to be out. and you're going to use him at running back, receiver. There's a chance Debo next week has 15 touches because they're going to use him at the running back position. That's why I would make that move. It's I'll be honest with you, the guy who's getting Etienne in London there'll be some people that'll say like that the guy who gets Etienne in London's winning. But in your situation, London's I'll be honest, I would rate your receivers as, Rice and Neighbors are your starters. I would put Godwin over London. So, yeah, I pulled the trigger on this trade. It's really kind of a 50-50 one. Guys, I'm going to take a quick commercial break. When I come back, I'll come back with hour 3 of Afternoon Delight, so stay tuned. Don't forget, every Chiefs game, I will do live play-by-play and reaction. This Sunday is going to be a great game as Kansas City travels to Arrowhead West. SoFi Stadium to play the Chargers. Join the fun live and let me know how your fantasy is doing, or celebrate your team's victory, or talk about Sunday or Monday Night Football. It's going to be awesome, and I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. As I take a quick commercial break to fix my hair, just a reminder, my award-winning NFL Weekly Picks video is out. If you haven't watched it already, make sure you do it. Not now. This is only a commercial. We still have more Afternoon Delight to give you, but do check out my NFL Weekly Picks video. It's awesome! Dan Talks Football is a proud affiliate of BetUS. You can get up to 125% bonus as featured, or do what I did and take a 20% bonus up to $2,500. I made a video where I show you my first $100 deposit, and thanks to the extra 20%, it turned into $120 instantly. This promotion isn't just for 1 or 2, but your first 3 deposits. Click on the link in the description and start winning today. Yes! Yes! The final hour, first 2 hours are in the books, but we go 3 hours of Afternoon Delight. What a great show. Thank you so much for joining me on your Friday afternoon. Hopefully I brought some value to your afternoon or evening, depending on what part of the country you're in. I know Keaton is on the East Coast. I know my boy and Perry and me are on the West Coast, but depending on what part of the country you're in, I'm glad you're joining me for some Afternoon Delight. Let me know, by the way, AK, let me know if you pull off this trade. If you do, Robinson, I would definitely find a way to put Robinson into your starting lineup. I would do it like this. I would go Hall, Kamara, Rice and Neighbors, and then put Robinson as your flex. Keep in mind, Austin Eckler is not playing. So I think this could be a big game for Brian Robinson. I do think it's a big game for Brian Robinson. I want to emphasize, if Etienne has 120 total yards and a couple touchdowns, don't be mad, because I've been you seem that you really want to move on from him. You can't be mad if you trade him and he does well. But I do think Brian Robinson's good for a big game. And Debo, don't play him this week, even if he does play. Put him on the bench. Next week, you might have to find a way to get him in your lineup. And by the way, Jordan Mason's a little banged up, so Debo could be huge. I'm looking at this team. I have a hard time believing you're not 2-1 or 3-0. You're not in a situation where you're 0-3, are you? I'd like to think that you can stash Debo for a week or two. And this is a guy like in the next couple of weeks could be a monster for you. Like I'm looking at your team thinking, I want to make sure you're set for the playoffs. So, Matt DeVita, great question, brother. Should I trade Olave for Mixon? I have a huge man crush on Chris Olave. This is a dude I just absolutely loved. He was a lot of fun. The watch out of Ohio State. And I one thing about Mixon is, I said this for years, I thought he could have been an MVP candidate in Cincinnati. I just don't know why I didn't use him. He seemed to slow down. Mixon's not, I I think he's questionable. I don't think he's going to play Sunday. So if you make this trade, I'm hoping that your running back situation set up well enough that you don't need Mixon to play. That said, I kind of like this trade. The reason why is that you do get a 3-down back with Mixon. You get a guy that after that week 1, didn't play. I've been paying attention over the last couple of years. He's significantly slowed down. Like this was a dude when he came out of Oklahoma. Was a 225, 230 pound dude, breakaway speed, doesn't have that speed anymore. The one thing is that I like him because he can catch the ball, and you're in an offense with CJ Stroud that you're not looking at the loaded box. I would make this trade, but one thing I'm going to warn you is that you probably picked up Olave and you've been frustrated with him. That production is going to start making an uptick. Now there are some. Now I could argue that maybe it won't happen because the Saints lost. Was it McCoy, their center? Not a big time name. You might not even know who he is. They lost him. He's on the PUP list. Like there's some major issues on the Saints offensive line. That could be a problem because that was a problem going into the season. Now, during the season, when they already had issues with depth and players, now they're having one of their key starters go down. That could affect the offense completely. Could have an impact on Olave's performance. That said, at the end of the year, I fully expect Olave to have about 1,000 to 1,200 yards. 7 to 9 touchdowns, and I think like right now he has 100 yards and no touchdowns. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. I would pull the trigger only, and if you want to put the rest of your lineup, let me know. You can do that as well. You don't need a running back this week, and I'm hoping that you have some receivers. If you make this trade, and Olave has a couple of 100-yard games with a touchdown, I don't want you to be mad. That's one thing I always encourage you is that if you do make a trade, don't be mad when the guy that you get rid of has a good game. Olave is going to have a couple of them. All right. Olave is going to have about 3 to 4 games where he's going to have some really good numbers. Keep in mind, you're trading for Mixon. You have an ankle injury. You have an older running back who's lost some speed, but this is a 3-down back who is running behind a good offensive line. You have a great quarterback. So you got a guy who could have some really nice production. So short answer is yes. There are some caveats to that. And I'm warning you, Olave is going to have a couple weeks that he's going to have 100 yards and a touchdown. So Perry does agree with me though. Yeah. I'm assuming you need a running back. Hopefully you don't need one this week because he's not going to play, or don't bank on him playing. Okay, let's say he's active. I wouldn't start him. Camden Christensen, would you drop Eckler, Shakir? You have to drop one for a tight end. That's a tough one. Eckler's not going to play this week. I would tell you Shakir, but with Eckler not playing and Shakir just getting more and more touches, I'm going to tell you to drop Eckler because even when he comes back, he doesn't look like he was the same dude. There was a time when I thought that this was one of the best slot receivers in all football, and then the Chargers were like, I know he's 205 pounds, so let's run him between the tackles for the next several seasons. and just destroyed this dude's careers. I mean, this is a guy, like, if he got with a good offensive mind, like my Chiefs or Sean McVay in LA, or I mean, like, if you could take Eckler from like 5 years ago, put him with somebody like, Ben Johnson, or drawing a blank on the coach's name in Minnesota. I should know this, but you get what I'm saying. Like, this would have been this guy would have been like just destroying it. But I would drop Eckler because you have an older player who's not even going to play. It doesn't look like the same guy, and it kind of looks like they're just kind of like, hey, we signed, because what they're doing with Washington is they're signing a bunch of veterans as they're trying to bring in a bunch of young players. It looks like they got their quarterback. Brian Robinson's been pretty damn good. Guy that I loved, by the way. Remember he got shot twice, and it's like, oh yeah, I'll be out for like a week. I mean, that's the type of toughness you like out of a dude. Terry McLaurin's a very solid number one. So Shakir's getting more touches. I just, it's hard for me to say Shakir because I just have such a man crush on Eckler, but that's kind of what you want to do. If you have to drop one, I mean, Eckler's not going to play, and then when he does come back, what kind of production, you don't know. Where Shakir looks like his production is going to go up. So it sucks that you have to drop one to pick up a tight end, though. Yeah, I mean, because I could see both these guys being more productive than a tight end. I hate telling anybody to drop a 3-down back, but I mean, Eckler, they're just kind of not really using that much. So, pick 2, week 4 PPR: David Montgomery, T. Higgins, DJ Moore. Oh, I'd go Montgomery and Moore. This is pretty simple. T. Higgins, don't get me wrong, it's a good matchup. You have a bad defense in Carolina. Sooner or later, Higgins will blow up. It could be this week, but look, who's the number one guy in Cincinnati? Right? It's Chase. The number one guy in Chicago, even with a bad quarterback situation, and right now Caleb Williams is a bad quarterback situation, still DJ Moore. David Montgomery is easily number one. You can argue Moore or Higgins, but I would go with Moore. Don't get me wrong, NB17, sooner or later, T. Higgins going to have that 100-yard, 1 or 2 touchdown performance. It may be against a bad defense in Carolina. I still would go with Moore. I would go with Moore pretty easily, because Moore is still the number one guy in Chicago. Even though Duze had 100 yards and a touchdown, and Keenan Allen may or may not play, I would still go with Moore. Montgomery's the no-brainer. Your question is receiver. So, Denver Gator! Sorry, I'm late. Went to take a nap, ended up in the mini. Denver Gator, I'm just good to see you, man. Oh God, yeah. I agree completely, Perry. I mean, they could have done a lot of different things. Remember, they also lost last year's number one in that tampering, and they didn't end up with Brady or Sean Payton. It's one thing if you're in a tamper and you get the guy. It's another thing when you tamper and you don't get the guy. But yeah, 2 years ago, they didn't even have a number one pick in the draft. And then this year, they take Chop Robinson, a guy that I liked. But remember, you gave up a number one so you can get Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb was very productive in Vic Fangio's defense. And Vic Fangio, if I remember right, he wanted to move to Philly to be closer to his family. Okay, great. That's fine. I'm not going to argue that, but And by the way, I'm not saying anything bad about Philly. I'm not saying anything bad about Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Some people would rather be in Philly than Miami. I'm going to say this again. There are people in the world that would rather live in Philly than Miami. Okay? I mean, most older dudes that have a lot of money, as a general thumb, would rather hang out in Miami. Just saying. Okay. Bottom line, the Dolphins traded the first round pick for Bradley Chubb. Then they ship off their defensive coordinator to Philly. They can say family, but let's be honest. I take a look at Vic Fangio, take a look at Mike McDaniel. Like, did you really think that these two were really going to work together well? Did you really think this was going to work? I mean, come on. Come on. So yeah. Yeah, they've really kind of messed things up. And it's a shame too, because like you could see what they're doing and there's some potential there to be really good. But yeah, it just looks like a disaster. It really looks like a disaster. So what would you trade Godwin with the value high he has now? Because in your team, the way you have them set up, and by the way, like this is a really, really, really good team. If you're going to trade London, and you want to stash Debo under, okay. I'm under the impression you're going to make this trade, so I see this trade. I'm assuming it's in the books. Okay. If you make this trade, you absolutely do not want to trade Godwin. And the reason why you don't want to do that is because you have neighbors who did have a concussion. I expect him to be fine. If you bring in Debo, you don't know if he's you can't pick up Debo and go, oh, well, I know he's going to be healthy for the rest of the year. You can't do that. So if you get rid of London, you have to keep Godwin, because Godwin is one of those guys that's going to be steady and consistent for you. Okay. If you make a trade for Debo, you absolutely do not want to move on from Godwin. You absolutely do not want to do that. To tell you the truth, if you really want to get rid of London or Godwin, you may be better off getting rid of Godwin, even though I think his value is higher because London has a higher upside, and he's also younger. I mean, you have to understand there is an injury history with London, but I mean, if you add Debo, you have there's probably not a wide receiver more likely than Debo Samuel to get that. I'm saying, hey, this guy's going to get injured. So if you make that trade and you bring on Debo, you absolutely positively want to keep Godwin. Especially, look, I believe Neighbors will be fine. He is in concussion protocol. Okay. I don't know if you knew that. He is in concussion protocol. I believe he will be fine. I would strongly suggest you hold on to Godwin. You may want to substitute Godwin for London in the trade you were talking about earlier. I wouldn't do it because I like Godwin better than London, but you may want to say, hey, London has higher upside. But if you trade for Debo Samuel, I don't want to move on from a wide receiver. I don't want to move on from a wide receiver. So So that's just my opinion. But I would, if you make the trade for Debo, do not move on from Godwin. So. I'm sorry, I got a comment here, kind of threw me off. So Noah, what's up, brother? Jordan Mason, George Pickens for Amon-Ra, so I switch out Mason for ETN. That's a great question. George Mason and George Pickens for Amon-Ra, or should I switch out Mason for ETN? I want to make sure I want to make sure I have all the information correct. You're thinking about trading Mason and Pickens for Amon-Ra. Okay. I like Pickens. Jordan Mason's the starting running back. I don't know if you saw this, but CMC is going to be out for an extended period of time. So normally I would tell you no because, I'm sorry. Normally I would tell you yes. Normally I would tell you make the move for Mason and Pickens for Amon-Ra. I'm going to tell you don't make this trade, and the reason why is that Mason. By the way, Mason's banged up. And I don't know. I think the first couple games is probably the best. All right. Like I don't think he's going to be that guy. He's going to have that production he had week 1 again. I don't think you'll see that. Okay. Pickens is a guy that I mean, right now, I firmly believe you're going to see more and more out of Pickens. There's a massive upside with Pickens. Okay. Is Amon-Ra better than like Pickens? Absolutely, no question about it. I mean, you got a guy who's playing in dome, highly productive offense, great offensive line. I mean, there's all the pluses. As far as switching out Mason for ETN, there's a lot of people that I guess I'm higher on ETN than a lot of people. If you're going to trade Mason or ETN, in my opinion, I would trade Mason. I understand that Amon-Ra is a number 1, Pickens is a number 2, but I would not recommend this trade just because Mason's probably going to be a starting running back in San Francisco for the next several months. By the time CMC comes back, it looks like you'll be entering into the playoffs. And another thing that you could see is an uptick in performance from George Pickens. As of right now, even though the passing game is very limited, it's going to get better. All right. Justin Fields is staying as the quarterback. He's getting those first team reps. He's working with Pickens. You got a big armed quarterback with lots of upside. Keep in mind, he's never going to be that dude who's just going to go back 50 times a game and dink, 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 dink. Where Jared Goff is the guy who you want to go back 50 times a game and go dink, 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 dink. Good offensive line, maybe the best offensive line in football. So I get why you'd want to make that trade. By the way, I'm just letting you know, like, I get the lie. By the way, if Pickens is on your bench, if your wide receiving core is loaded and you got other options, because I think ETN's more valuable than Mason, I can make an argument you could make this trade. I would lean against it because I'm looking at 2 starters that are going to get you production. I'm looking at Mason and Pickens. You could start both those guys, and both those guys combined will get you more points than Amon-Ra. But if you're only starting one of those guys, if you're running, like I like ETN a little more than Mason. But Pickens is a guy that I think he's got some upside. Like there's better days for Pickens as far as fantasy is concerned. And Jordan Mason is going to be the starting running back in San Francisco for the next couple of months. So I'm leaning against that trade. I also, a lot of you guys aren't high on ETN. Listen, this is a 3-down back with home run speed. And he's still productive behind an offense that's playing terrible. There is no way that the offense is going to be this bad in Jacksonville. Like, there's going to be, ETN's playing well, and he's going to play better. So I would advise against this. If Pickens is on your bench or Mason's on your bench, maybe, yeah, you make the trade because Amon-Ra is a number one in fantasy. Or right now, Pickens is a number two, and so is Mason. So short answer, yes. Can you put a little more information in on your roster? Because if Pickens or Mason's on your bench, then maybe you can make the move. But I mean, I'm seeing two guys that you would want to start versus one guy that would be your number one dude. I'm looking at 2 2s versus a 1. So some people may have Mason and Pickens starting. If one of those guys is on the bench, pull the trigger. If you're starting both those guys. And by the way, I mean, Mason is a dude who's going to get you points, and Pickens has upside. So I want to emphasize that. Hey, man, you're welcome, NP17. Man, keep me informed on how you do. Hopefully I hear back from you. Well, Montgomery's going to play on Monday night. So hopefully you go with Moore over Higgins, or whichever one you do. But I hope to hear back from you on Monday. Hey, Dan, I'm up, but I got David Montgomery, and so let me know. What do you think about the trade of S4 in my league? I would get Jonathan Taylor for Diggs and Aaron Jones. Week 4, I wouldn't like it. Just I think Aaron Jones going back to Green Bay is going to have a monster game. Jonathan Taylor is Jonathan Taylor is going against the Steelers, and I have a hard time. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Jonathan Taylor is a must start. I think right now. I mean, it's a must start. So, with that said, Diggs, I know he's been productive, but I mean, I don't see how Nico Collins isn't that. Like, I mean, Nico Collins leading. So the way it's working right now, Nico Collins leading the NFL in yards. Nico Collins is 18 receptions, Diggs that's 20. So you would be selling Diggs at, I think, his absolute highest. And keep in mind, I mean, he's 31. Look, Jonathan Taylor the last 2 years has been banged up, but John Taylor is a legitimate stud number one. Aaron Jones, by the way, is also a guy that's a must start, but I think he's more of a low end one or a number 2. I do think he's going to have a huge game against Green Bay. Okay. Do you make this trade? Sure. Is there any possible way? Let me throw this out. Let me just throw this out. Is there any possible way you don't make this trade now? Wait till after week 4. Start Aaron Jones against Packers. And what's going to happen is, because I think Aaron Jones is going to have a better week fantasy-wise than Jonathan Taylor. If you can hold off for this week, there's a chance that you might be able just to trade Taylor for Jones straight up, and you can just snag Diggs and get rid of Diggs for something else. Can you hold off? Or look, if you have to pull the trigger on it, I like it because I think Jonathan Taylor if he stays healthy, is a one. I mean, you got to start him every week. Both Taylor and Diggs, you have to worry about staying healthy. Or I'm sorry, both Taylor and Jones, you have to stay healthy. Diggs, right now, you're selling high. Okay. If you hold off on this trade, you might be able to get Taylor for Jones just straight up. Maybe. Do I like this move? Yeah, I kind of do. And I say kind of because Jones is a guy that I really like in this Vikings offense, okay? Look at this Vikings offense right now. You got Darnold, who's playing really, really well. You got two stud receivers. You have a good offensive line. You have a really good offensive-minded head coach. Look at the Colts offense. Hey, a quarterback who's throwing 50%. I had defense who can't stop the run. If you can, because Jones, I firmly believe Jones will have a better week than Taylor. If you can make this trade next week, and you might not have to give up Diggs. If you have to make this trade, you could have some buyer's remorse when you see Jones just return to Lambeau and just destroy. I seriously, if I was going to do a list of like, if I could build the perfect fantasy team for week 4, Aaron Jones is on that team. That's why I don't want you to make this move until after this week. But if you have to, do it and start Jonathan Taylor. And I'm going to wish you the best of luck. But I just think Aaron Jones returning to Green Bay is going to be a huge week. GB, what's up? You know what? I saw this comment and it took me back because I'm on ESPN. I didn't even see him on there. And so I go to Charger. I have to go back to Chargers. I had no idea this was going to happen. I'm kind of taken off. Kind of surprised me. Full disclosure, I don't think he's really going to have much of an impact. I really don't. Herbert's questionable. I expect him to play. I think you're going to see more Joshua Palmer, Johnson, McConkey. I don't think it's going to be that much of a deal. I know that you're a Chargers fan. There's significant action on the Chargers, and I recommended that because Chargers opened up as a 9-point favorite. They're now 7.5. That's major action on the Chargers. Here's the thing: Chiefs Chargers always play each other tough. Always play each other tough. I don't think he'll have any impact, to be honest with you. I really, really, really don't. I really don't. Good pickup, but yeah. Okay. Is it better Jordan Mason's, George Pickett, and Khalil Shakir for Amon-Ra and Jaden Reed? No, it's not. And the reason why is that you're giving up. You're losing. Shakir's going to be the number one dude. Now, Jaden Reed's going to have these highlight reel games, but Christian Watson's the number one dude. And trust me, they got Tucker Kraft, or is it Tucker? I think it's Tucker Kraft and Jordan. They got 2 tight ends in Green Bay. They're going to start utilizing a lot more with Jacob. So I would not. This is worse. Shakir's going to be more valuable than Reed. Now Reed's more of a explosive, get ESPN type plays, but Shakir is going to be a better option for you. So no, this is not better. No, this is not better. Yeah. Please do. Do you have any ideas what I can trade Diggs for? Like one buy low guys. I'll be honest. It was kind of funny. I'm stealing this here. You may be able to get a guy like Shakir for Diggs. That would be a guy that, and by the way, unless full disclosure, I could see Shakir scoring on Monday night, but if he doesn't score, And Diggs, I would look at Shakir as a guy that you can get as a low end. I mean, if you try to do this trade next week, I think you might be able to trade Aaron Jones straight up, but you may still want to make that same trade. You still may want to do this same trade next week. It's just I just think Aaron Jones is just going to blow up, and you may still want to do this trade. Not that comment, but where was that? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I just lost. Okay, no, here it is. No, it is. I got like Shakir. By the way, I don't think it's available. But if Diggs has a good game, and with Malik Willis, you're probably not getting a good game from Green Bay. There's a small possibility, and I don't want to get your hopes up. But if you can make the move, you may be able to get Christian Watson instead of Jalen Reed. I wouldn't do either of the Green Bay tight ends because there's two of them, so they kind of cancel each other out for fantasy value. But if you make that trade next week, you may have to still throw Diggs in there. But if Diggs has a good game, keep an eye out. Shakir for Buffalo, not a big name, but's been playing well. Going to get more and more touches. He scores on Sunday night. Probably won't be able to get him for Diggs, but that would be a guy. Christian Watson would be a guy that he may not have any value. I mean, he's a guy that I personally know about, but with Green Bay going with the backup quarterback, he's not been producing. You may be able to snag Watson, and then when Jordan Love comes back, and Watson has 100 yards and a touchdown every single game, and you're going to thank me. I would keep an eye out on. You could say, by the way. You could say Jalen Reed. It's just one thing about Jaden Reed is I coming out of Michigan State, I was thinking he would be more of a punt kick return type of dude, not really a receiver. And he's kind of been proving me wrong, but I still think he's a clear 2 behind Watson and also like Dobbs quite a bit. So, but he might be an option too, but I wouldn't trade him for straight up for Diggs, but I would trade Diggs straight up for Christian Watson. So keep an eye out. And I've been noticing you've been in the chat, so like we'll be back, and you stay in touch with me. And if you don't follow me on social media, you can. You're not required to, of course. You can always hit me up in the chat comments. Make sure I get all the comments here. Chaco, what's up? Hopefully I got the name right. Oh, cool name. Trade Goddard and Coleman for Kelsey. Ooh. God, you're talking to a diehard Chiefs fan, and I can't really go for that. And the reason why is that, by the way, full disclosure, Kelsey this week might outperform both those guys. Coleman had his first catch in a game, and I know that if you watch Bill's social media, I don't know if you're a Bills fan or not. I was following a lot of Bill's social media. They're convinced, Keon Coleman, look at this, how great he is in shorts. And I was like, it's him in shorts, you know. And there are so many Bills fans are like, wide receiver number 1, and look at him in shorts. And it's like, no, he's probably not. Goddard is a dude who, this is a sell high type of player right now. By the way, with Ingram, I was shocked that I have no idea what happened. It was And by the way, I would strongly recommend you hold on to Ingram. That was one player I should have checked out the injury issue. He's out. Okay, so ESPN's reporting he is doubtful to play, but then they also have him listed as out. ESPN's not the best source here, but I know it was kind of a shock that he just didn't play. I would, listen. Take this from somebody who's a big Chiefs fan. Kelsey has destroyed the Chargers in his life. He turns 35 next week. Goddard's a better option. So, it's a PPR redraft. That's a lot of fun. I love stuff like that. Your other tight end's Ingram. You can either drop Coleman or McConkey. Okay. By the way, I wouldn't blink. I wouldn't think twice about dropping Coleman or McConkey. I know a lot of people are really high on McConkey. Full disclosure, I might keep McConkey over Coleman. But I wouldn't make that. I would not pull the trigger on that trade, even though there's a very good possibility this week Kelsey will outperform Goddard. I would strongly hold on to Goddard. If you got to drop one of those guys, drop Coleman. I'm not one of these guys I was buying into McConkey hype either. But out of the one thing I will tell you is that even though the Chargers are trying to be more of a run first, smash mouth team, you got a guy in Herbert, and I'm assuming you're new to my channel. I use this expression quite a bit. You get a guy in Herbert that can go back 50 times the game and just pick you apart. All right, he can do that. Josh Allen, even though he's the NFL MVP, he cannot. All right. Can he go back there and launch those bombs? Can he go back there and score 4 or 5 touchdowns a game with, some highlight reel runs? Sure. But in fantasy football, do you want a receiver who plays on Justin Herbert's team or Josh Allen's team? And you always want to go with Herbert. The thing with McConkey is that, Coleman with his size is always going to get more touchdowns. McConkey's the guy that's more likely to go like 10 catches, 95 yards, and get you that sneaky touchdown, where Coleman will have that highlight reel grab where he shows up on ESPN left and right, but he ends up with like 2 catches, 30 yards, and a touchdown, where McConkey might not make any highlight reels, but he'll be a lot more productive in the long term. So drop Coleman. Don't make the trade for Goddard and Coleman for Kelsey. That said, if you just want to do like if your tight end's Ingram and you're convinced he's going to come back, the injury just came out of the blue. I don't have a lot of knowledge of what happened. Apparently he pulled his hamstring, tore his hamstring or something. He looks like he's going to be out. At the beginning of the year, I would have ranked them Ingram, Kelsey, Goddard. Right now, I'm going Goddard, Kelsey because of an injury, and then Ingram. But hold on to Ingram. Don't make that trade. Start Goddard. Can I ask you this? No, I was going to say there's no way you could just trade Coleman straight up for Kelsey. So don't do this trade. This is from a guy who's a diehard Chiefs fan who's expecting a huge game from Kelsey. I can almost guarantee you Kelsey's going to score this week. I can almost guarantee you that. I wouldn't make this move. But if you have to drop Coleman or McConkey, drop Coleman. I understand the logic behind Goddard and Coleman. You want to sell high. Smart move, by the way. Bank on the Coleman hype. Maybe the guy who has Kelsey is a Bills fan. I get it. By the way, I wouldn't hate you if you do this trade and then next week you just go back to starting Ingram. I wouldn't mind at all, because I think Ingram, once he comes back, if he's healthy, is just going to start eating it up. I mean, remember last year it was like, what was it, 108 catches? So I wouldn't blame you if you did it, but I would lean against it, because while I think Kelsey's going to have a huge week, it's obvious Father Time caught up with him, or Goddard's still in his prime. So absolutely they could. I mean, look at that division. You got Steelers are 3-0. I know the Bengals and Browns are bad, but they're both talented teams, and both of them have the potential. The Ravens' schedule is brutal. So, yeah, I absolutely could. Do I think they're going to? No, I do not. But look at this schedule. Okay, Sunday night, Buffalo, at Cincinnati. Okay, Washington's at home. Then the next two games, at Tampa, at Cleveland. I mean, these aren't gimmies. I know Cleveland's not playing well, but in a couple weeks from now, they may have those tackles back. Home games, Denver, Thursday night against Cincinnati. At Pittsburgh, at LA Chargers. Home against Philly. Bye week at New York, they probably win that game. Final three games of the season, home against Pittsburgh, at Houston, home against Cleveland. Yeah, absolutely. They could absolutely potentially miss the postseason. Do I have the Ravens make them playoffs? Yes, I do. I think even if they lose and they're 1-3, I'm not betting against that team. I full disclosure, I think they win at home on Sunday night. I think they win, but yeah. Would I offer Jacobs and Dell for Gibbs? No, I would not. Right now, they're just force feeding the ball, the Jacobs consistently. And I had a lot of doubts if Jacobs would fit into that offense. And so far, it looks like he does. Tank Dell's a guy I'm not super high on, to be honest. But Gibbs is a guy, if Detroit's smart, uses him less and less and uses Montgomery more and more. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't even do Jacobs straight up for Gibbs. I would keep Jacobs over Gibbs, even in a PPR league where I think Gibbs may have a little more value. And by the way, I'm assuming you're in a PPR league. I would just keep Jacobs. I think Jacobs by himself is better than Gibbs. Jacobs is a workhorse right now. So, okay, so your roster: Stroud, solid. A-Chain, Etienne, Lamb, and that's a good one. So you got a good quarterback in the stud one receiver. Okay, so that's good. Okay. I'm glad you pointed this out, because you have some good things in play. So let me just offer a suggestion. You have Drake London against a very tough Saints defense. Okay. You have Pickens at Indianapolis with a banged up secondary and a horrific run defense. I would strongly suggest this week you start Pickens. I'll be honest with you, I would start Pickens or Jackson Smith and Jigba over London. Okay. I'm telling you that right now. I would start both those guys over London. Your call, obviously. Bucky Irving is interesting. I was a smart pickup, and Jonathan Brooks is amazing, because this is a guy that if he's anything like he looked in college on an offense, I think that you may hit a home run in Jonathan Brooks. Let me see here. What was the trade that you had offered? Okay, so you want to add Amon-Ra. So you want to add Amon-Ra, But I'm looking at your running. Am I missing who you're? Okay, so you have Bucky Irvin, Jonathan Brooks. Okay, I see what you're trying to do. This actually is a low key. I'm sorry. I mean, low key sounds like I get what you're doing because you're thinking when Brooks comes back. You're now. Here's the deal. You're banking on Irving or Brooks. So what you want to do is that you want to get your solid because you got CD Lamb. So you want to get that stud number one receiver in Amon Ra because you already got ETN. A-Chain you're not really sure about. God, I see what you're doing, and because you got Jonathan Brooks, I would feel a lot better if you had somebody else. Because here's the deal, Bucky Irving. I like the dude, but I think the only reason he got a lot of touches last week is kind of like, hey, look, it's a blowout loss. We'll get the rookie in there. I think in close games, Bucky Irving will get fewer touches than Rachaad White. Jonathan Brooks could be the guy that comes in and just Jonathan Brooks, when healthy, they may just say, hey, look, touch the ball 25 a game. And Chuba, I don't think that's going to be the case. It could, though. It could. I 100% understand because you got Lamb, who's your number one, made you a lot of points last night. And what you're thinking is that, hey, look, I got a guy in Mason, I got a guy in A-Chain. Both those guys could be going down. Your trade makes a lot more sense after looking at your roster. I also understand. I get now why you want Amon Ra so bad. Is this makes so much more sense because you already got a stud number one. So you're just trying to just max out. And I also like the fact that you still got one running back. So you still got one. And then you got the potential with Brooks to have two. I'm still going to advise against it, but I understand the logic behind it. It makes a lot of sense because if you can get CD Lamb and Amon Ra and Irving or Brooks can be actually, to tell you the truth, like if Irving or Brooks can do anything, and keep in mind one thing about A-Chain is that I would start A-Chain for Monday night, even if Mozart is clear to play. But once Mozart comes back, I think A-Chain's touches are just going to drop. I'd still would hold off, and the reason why is I like ETN and I like Mason as your starters. All right. I mean, right. I'm assuming you're going with A-Chain, and in some order, I'm assuming you're going A-Chain, ETN, Mason, 1, 2, running back, flex, and then you're going CD Lamb in London, switch Pickens or JSN, by the way, over London. But I get it. I would not. This trade makes a lot more sense now. Like I was kind of like, no, don't do it. But now that I'm looking at your roster, I understand why. Because this is hold on, where I just had it. Damn it. Where was it here? Yeah, because I mean, I understand. I'll be honest with you. I might. Can you get away with trading London and keeping Pickens? Can you do that? Did the guy propose this trade, or are you just putting something together? I would recommend keeping Pickens and getting rid of London. That's what I would do. But this is not a bad idea at all. I'm starting to get on board with this trade. I'll be honest with you. Can you substitute Pickens for London? if you substitute Pickens for London, I get it. But the one thing I want to warn you about, I still am going to say no. And the reason why I say no is I think that where is your lineup here? No, I'm going to say no because you don't have another running back. Bucky Irvin's going to get you a handful of points. I think if it's a close game, this game against Philly, for example, unless Philly comes in and beats them by 30 or 40, I don't expect Irvin to do more than like 5 to 10 touches. And Jonathan Brooks, if Hubbard continues to play super well, you still have Miles Sanders on the roster. You don't know. There could be a situation Brooks enters that lineup and he's getting 20 to 25 touches. He could enter the lineup and be blocking on special teams. You don't know. And you're giving up a starter at running back. That's why I don't like it. But if you are going to pull the trade London, not Pickens. And by the way, I strongly suggest Pickens or JSN instead of London this week. But no, what a great question, man. And good luck. By the way, I mean, CD Lamb, congrats. Jonathan Brooks and Bucky Irvin, smart move getting young, talented rookie running backs. And you got some really good receivers in Jackson Smith and Jigba Pickens. I'm not as high on London as you are, but and by the way, ETN's still a solid player. This lineup is not a bad lineup, by the way. A-Chain, ETN, and I'm assuming Mason's your flex, so not bad lineup. Not bad lineup at all. Hopefully I got all the questions. Okay, yeah, I answered this one. Keep Jacobs. Do not trade Jacobs for Gibbs, and don't give up extra. Don't give up extra. Please don't. But especially if you're a Lions fan. And by the way, you could have a big game on Monday night. Still keep Jacobs. Starter Duze or Waddle full PPR. Christopher Sowers. That's a tough one. Because I have problems with both players. With Duze, I'm not that high on Caleb Williams, even though I knew he threw for 360. I think it was 363 and a couple of scores. And Duze did have 100. Tennessee's defense is good, and you have a very questionable situation quarterback-wise in Miami. I'll be honest. I have a huge man crush on both of these receivers. I know Chicago's at home. The Rams are banged up. I'm not really high on that lineup. Tennessee, who I think is going to be one of the worst teams in football. I still like their defense. I'm going to lean towards Duze barely, just because I have no idea what the quarterback position in Miami is going to look like. I mean, at least in Chicago, you got a quarterback that loves Duze. And I mean, even if Keenan Allen comes back, you are going to get some targets. I love Jalen Waddle. And I do think while they were going to try to force feed Tyreek Hill, I fully expect Jalen Waddle to get some touches. And there could be a situation where, Waddle's a home run type of player. I mean, you have to realize Waddle's one of those guys. He could have a stat line of 2 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown. Where Duze is probably more likely to have like a 5-catch, 60-yard performance. So I'd go with Duze. Keep in mind, if you're in a situation where you need a boom or bust, I think Waddle's got the higher ceiling. Duze has the higher floor. So I'm going to lean towards Duze. Not super fond of either one of these options this week, even though I have man crushes on both receivers. Can I give Pollard and DK for JT? Also fine. I, I really like Pollard in this week's matchup against Miami, and he's been the number one guy, especially in a PPR league. I mean, I think you could do that, but I do want to tell you this. If you do that, same thing, same caveat. I think Pollard against Miami is a good matchup. The thing is with Jonathan Taylor, he's playing against that Pittsburgh defense. I think he's going to have a bad game. I think he's a must start because of the talent and the lack of weapons on the Colts. I could see Taylor getting like 30 touches in a low scoring game. But I would same thing. Hold off 1 week. And that's another thing with DK Metcalf. You just never know. I mean, he may have 3 catches for 30 yards on Monday night. He could have 9 for 150 and a touchdown. I mean, you have no idea. But Pollard, I like Pollard against Miami on Monday night. So same advice. Hold off for 1 week. What quarterbacks would you? Oh wow, Alan for sure. God. I want to make sure I answer. So, by the way, I am going to answer every question, but I'm the show. I wanted to end the show right now, but I am going to answer every question. Another one pops up I can't get to. Make sure you drop a comment. This is one I wish I would have got earlier because there's a lot of different factors. I do like Tampa's defense. Okay, I'm very, very clear. I like Tampa's defense. I could argue Mahomes this week against the Chargers. I know Chargers defense playing well. Mahomes isn't. This could be a week that Mahomes just explodes. All right. I could argue Jaden Daniels, but the guy, I think Kyler Murray. I just think he's going to have a monster game. You have a bad look what Joe Burrow did against. By the way, Joe Burrow clearly outplayed Jaden Daniels as fantasy wise. I mean, 300 versus 200, 3 touchdowns versus 2 touchdowns. Kyler Murray, I think, might be quarterback number 1 this week. I really do. I think Kyler Murray just may do something crazy. I think Andy Dalton's going to have a big game. I hate I mean, you have to realize he's not the running threat Jalen Hurts is, but I mean, Joe Burrow and Andy Dalton, this could be a fun shootout in Carolina. It really could, but I mean, I don't know if I could recommend Andy Dalton over Jalen Hurts. I don't know if I could do that. I might go Joe Burrow. Kyler Murray for sure. I would probably do Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen, or actually, I would actually do Lamar Jackson at home. At home, I know you're going against Buffalo, but there's not really too many. I'm kind of looking at the lineups. I know. I would probably say CJ Stroud. I wouldn't. I don't know if I could go definitely, but I would probably do CJ Stroud. Maybe Sam Darnold. That's a great question, man. I mean, can you do me a favor? Because I'm assuming you're doing like a pick'em league, like on DraftKings. Is there any way that you can drop a comment on the YouTube video or hit me up on social media? Go old school. DanTalksFootball@yahoo.com. I'll get you, depending on what time zone area. More than likely, it'll be Saturday morning, but I will get to you before Sunday. It may be like it'll be Friday night, Saturday night, or Saturday morning. Like a little more information, but like I'm assuming you can just like it's not for a league is what I'm assuming. So like give me if you don't mind, can you hit me up and let me answer this in a little more detail, but not too many. Lineup looks like Lamar, Saquon, Kamara. Nice. Nice. Godwin, Jennings, Kittle, Goddard, 49ers, should I put in Daubert for or should I put in Kyler for Lamar? Okay. I would put in Kyler for Lamar. I really think Kyler Murray against a bad Washington defense that's coming off an emotional Monday night victory. I think Kyler Murray might just blow up. I really, really believe that. I do have the Ravens beating Buffalo, but Buffalo's defense is good. So, I mean, I would go. I would put Kyler in from Lamar. I'm always by the way, I would start Goddard over Kittle. I would bench Kittle because I don't know if he's going to play or not. Let's just say he's healthy. I would definitely put in Dobbins, even though it's a bad matchup against my Chiefs. I would start Goddard over Kittle. I would put Dobbins in the flex, and I would start Kyler over Lamar. Yeah. Yeah, I would bench Kittle. Let me do this here. I got to end the show, but I believe Kittle is questionable, and does ESPN not even have him on the injury report? Okay. All right. So for whatever reason, he's not even on the injury report. He's been banged up. There was a big question if he was going to play. Okay, so here it is. Yesterday, Kittle expecting to play. Okay. I get why you want to play him. I understand normal circumstances. I would do it. I get it. Not at 100%. Tough Patriots defense. All right. Bench Kittle for Goddard. You want to start Dobbins. I think it's a must start, even though he's not much of a receiver. Tough defense against Kansas City. That's what I would do. AZ Wildcat, AZ Wildcat, man. I let me know how you do, man. Please stay in touch with me. Yeah, you're okay. God, I might go Freiermuth. Okay, get Dobbins on the field. Start Kyler. You might want to do Freiermuth instead of Goddard. That's a good matchup in Indianapolis. I would go with Goddard, but honestly, Goddard and Freiermuth are both better options than Kittle, in my opinion. Should I trade Jefferson for Neighbors and Ayuk PPR? Oh God, that is such a good one. That's such a good one. What a great lineup. Burrow, Cook, two guys I love. Akers, JJ, Garrett Wilson, Kelsey, London, and Charbonnet. Okay. The issue that you have is no. I wouldn't do that. I really wouldn't. But the one thing I would want to tell you is that both Akers and Charbonnet are other you need to get another running back in there. So, but no, don't make this trade. Even though I love Neighbors and I think Ayuk is going to ramp up, I would not recommend trading Justin Jefferson. Andre, what's up, brother? I'm on Rod and CD together. That it really is. I get it. I don't like the other options, but I wouldn't blame them. It's so good to see you, Andre, man. I'm ending the show, so I'm sorry. Hey, thoughts on this dynasty San Francisco 16 team trade? Dak and a mid 2025 first, or Anthony Richardson and a 2027 first? You have Dak and the 2025 mid first, I'm assuming. Okay. Or Richard. Okay. Dak over Richardson. Easy. God, this is a great one. God, I would love to know more about this. I would love more to know. I have no faith that honestly, I have no faith in Richardson. That's a guy who's going to stay in Dallas. He's going to throw for, unless he gets injured, and it's more likely Richardson to get injured than Dak. He's going to throw for over 4,500 every single year. He's got CeeDee Lamb there for a long time. Richardson is a complete mystery. Dak, no question. God, this is another great question. I would go Goddard just because Laporte is banged up. This week only. Going forward, I'd have to. There's some other options, but yeah, man, this is a great one. I love leagues like this. This is a lot of fun. Please, I don't recognize the name, so I'm assuming you're new. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Your call, of course. My social media links are below. I want to hear more from you, but definitely Dak. What about Geno Smith? You had this question earlier. I would not recommend him over Hurts. Okay. I would not recommend him over Hurts. Okay. Full disclosure, I'm not a Geno Smith guy. This goes all the way back to West Virginia. I remember him losing to K-State. Both teams were undefeated. Both teams were ranked. I finally got to watch them. I lived in Kansas City for a long time. I live in Vegas right now, so I watch a lot of K-State, okay? K-State had a really good team. I think West Virginia was ranked higher than K-State, but I knew K-State was going to win. K-State was just blowing them out. Geno Smith was acting like a child on the sideline, like almost in tears and like yelling at his teammates. It was embarrassing. After that, there was talk about the Chiefs ended up with the number one pick in the draft. About 60-70% of Chiefs fans wanted Geno Smith number one. I was like, please do not do this. And then Andy Reid comes in. They brought him in, and my guess is that Geno Smith did not interview well because the Chiefs were very quickly turned off. Remember, Geno Smith slid into the second round, but I've always been an anti-Geno Smith guy. Then he big time the teammate broke his jaw, and I'm glad that he, everybody does something stupid in their 20s, so it's good to see him bounce back. Not sold on him, especially over a dude like Hurts, who has a much more of a running option. So no. Final question here. If that lineup I commented, okay, I'll do this one last. I'll do this one here. Pick 2, Evans, Montgomery, Garrett Wilson. Oh God, that's a tough one. Montgomery 1. You're stuck between Wilson and Evans. Both are going against good defenses. I'm going to go with Evans, more likely to score. Lower floor or higher floor with Evans, higher ceiling with Wilson. This could be the week Wilson breaks out. Tough matchup against Denver. I think the way Denver's going to match up is they're going to put Surtain on Wilson. I think you're much other. I would go Evans and Montgomery. Do you think I should trade for a better receiver package? Lamar, Kyler, and Dobbins. Any suggestions? I would not. Listen. The deal is with. Let me see if I can get that. Okay. So listen. Here's the deal. You absolutely do not want to get rid of Dobbins, but sooner or later he's going to get banged up. All right. Sooner or later he's going to get banged up. Saquon and Kamara are ones that you have to have. Jennings is a guy that he had the best week of his life. He won't produce again. You have a guy in Mooney has potential. Ridley, until they fix the quarterback situation. So yeah, you need to figure out a way to get a oh, this is a different one. Okay, I'm sorry. You need to figure a way to get another receiver because this is a lineup that Kyler or Lamar are great lineups. Saquon and Kamara are great. Your tight ends are phenomenal. You need to figure a way to get a receiver. I would definitely figure a way to get a receiver. What kind of a package should you have? This is a tough one because I think Dobbins is a must start in fantasy, and even though he had a bad week last week, I expect he won't have a good week this week. This is a dude who is going to put up monster points for you, even though he's not used in a receiver capacity. I would, as far as which one to package, Lamar or Kyler, that's a tough one. I hate getting rid of both, but you need a receiver bad. You need a receiver bad. I mean, you can almost bank on Dobbins getting hurt. After this week, I didn't even see it. You had Cook. God, I'll be honest. I might even start Cook over. Oh, I'm sorry. I got it mixed up. I'm sorry. Because Zamir White. All right. There's a chance with all the Raiders players that are injured, Zamir White may have some value. You may luck out. Ridley or Mooney may have a good week. You have Kittle as well, so you got some tight ends. I really don't want you to get rid of Dobbins. Okay, you got a tight end. All right, you can trade a tight end. You may luck out, and you may be able to get Zamir White on a good week. I mean, the Raiders have absolutely nothing else. You're not going to find anybody who's going to want Elliott, even the biggest. After this week, you have to figure out, because here's what you're looking at. White may have a big week. Ridley may score on Monday night. People watch Monday Night Football. There's a chance he may score, even though the other game's much better. You're going to have to figure out some sort of package deal, but I would hold on to Dobbins. Now, I wouldn't blame you if you move Dobbins, because sooner or later he will get hurt. As far as Lamar and Kyler, if you're going to make a move to get rid of that high of a quarterback, you need to get like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. You got to get somebody. But yeah, you got some nice pieces in play. I would suggest maybe you try for a lower end guy and keep all three of these guys, because you may get Ridley, White. You got somebody in your league needs a tight end. You got three good ones. Get rid of one of those guys and see what you can do. By the way, if you don't mind, hit me back. I got to end the show. Guys, thank you so much. Good luck on your fantasy football team. I hope to see y'all back Monday. Keep in mind, if you have any questions, I will get you tonight. If you have any questions tomorrow, I will get you. If you ask me a question on Sunday, I'm out until I come on live on YouTube, my new Chiefs Charger. Have a great weekend. I hope I see you all Sunday during the Chiefs live stream.